य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामंशो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः अस्मिन् लोकः शितः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्द्वैत 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 एतद्द्वैत.
Thank you. So, I welcome Revati S. Raghunathan, Chairperson of SCRC of ICI, to welcome address the members and also introduce our speaker. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to actually welcome our Sustainability Committee Chairman, CA Priti Savla, and the Speaker of the Day, CA LAKSHMI sir. We are today celebrating the World Environment Day, and we are doing it with a big bang. Morning, we had tree plantation at our International Center of Excellence, which is coming up in Sri Perumbudur. And then now we are having a talk, which is going to first Preeti ma'am is going to talk, and then our other speakers will be talking. And at SARC, we take great pride in today's event because we are being showcased pan India today. The event which is happening here is being telecast live pan India across, so that chartered accountants from across the country will be joining this program. And I think that BRSR is here to stay. And this is one vertical which all of us need to adopt. And apart from adapting all the regular sustainability practices, which was, many of the practices were being implemented by our ancestors, but somewhere down the line, it all got lost and now they are all coming back. But this is only in the, certain spaces. But now these BRSR practices have got to be implemented and adapted across society, both in the factories, in the corporates, and at the individual levels in societies, in families, in domestic level. In fact, Eselin sir and Preeti were talking about how, not Preeti, one more chartered accountant here, we're talking about how, in Mumbai today, they are launching a project for sustainability among the societies. So I'd like to welcome the other speaker also who's come in now, CA Maria. Welcome, ma'am. And these are initiatives which we have to take across the country and across the globe if we are going to be, responsible people who want to give a planet which is going to be a safe planet to live in for our succeeding generations, for the posterity. So welcome again to everyone, and we are very happy that SIRC is able to host this program today. And thank you very much again to both the speakers and also to the Central Committee for deciding to celebrate the World Environment Day from SIRC in Chennai. Thank you very much. So I'll hand over the proceedings now to our MC. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Since our speaker is great, I request CA Maria ma'am to join in the stage. Okay. Oh, yes, we are. Now, as a token of our appreciation and gratitude, we would like to honor our esteemed guests, and I request our chairperson, CA Revati S. Raghunathan ma'am, to present the memento to our speakers and guests. Thank you, ma'am. So without further ado, I would like to go into the session, and I request Central Council Member CA Priti Salva to take over the stage. Thank you.
Presentation if you can bring it. Good afternoon, friends, and welcome all of you. So, wish you a very, very happy World Environment Day. And friends, as all of you are aware, every Thursday we are taking up this session, and this may be about 20 sessions you already taken. And today also, being World Environment Day, and we have celebrated here at Chennai and SIRC, and I am happy and privileged that SIRC Revati Madam, under her leadership, she has hosted here. And then we also thought, ki, let us have this program webcasted from SIRC itself. And I also welcome both the speakers and all the members. See here, this is a hybrid mode today. The members are present over here physically also, and this is a live telecast across India. And friends, as we are discussing all the time, ki how to make India sustainable and what are the sustainability reporting standards and sustainability reporting requirements, assurance requirements, the requirement as per SEBI, the regulatory requirements in India, and what are the requirements across globe. And today also we'll first understand that uh, understanding about the sustainability, the reporting requirements, and what the scenario over here and what sustainability standard is also actually into, and followed by both the speakers, very learned speakers, Lakshmi Narayan ji and Maria Madam, who will also take us through the nuances of the sustainability. And friends, as all of you are aware about this sustainability board, which is the first one, the pioneer in the world. The ICI is having the first sustainability board across. There are more than 150 institutes, CA institute across world, but no one was having the sustainability standard, and we have been the pioneer. And we have started this. This is the fifth year of the board. We have also received the best sustainability of board award by United Nations, where 70 plus countries are nominated. That is 2 years back. So I am very happy and privileged. And let us understand this sustainability in more detail. Um, so I will not go through the basics of the sustainability for the want of the time also, and other speakers are there, and these are some slides are very, very self-explanatory also. So let us not go into that. But what is sustainability? And we have also of 5 Ps on this day. This month is celebrated at ICI celebration month, ICI Sustainability Month, and this is around 5 Ps. that is peace, prosperity, and that I have seen SIRC has also standee they have displayed outside. And we are also across India, we have intimated and celebrating across India in such a way that walkathon is there, and one survey also we have planned. So I request office Chindu to please put the survey link in the chat box. So, and already there. Huh. So again put in the, it's a very basic survey. So here what I am showing in the presentation, what is ESG? Because when we started sustainability, no one is aware what is ESG also. So starting from the scratch we are doing, and those kind of very basic surveys we have, survey link we have given. We also initiated the real competition. So Revati madam, what I would suggest, if you can also from in the members and the students send this reel competition. It's a 1 minute reel which is required, and then we will be also felicitating that region and that member or the student the best sustain. You have to select 5, and you can honor those 5 and send this to our national level, and we will be giving them the winners. So winners will be declared out of it. So this is an initiative, real competition, because these are like innovative ideas, because real 1 minute reel is like always everyone can see, and it can be viral. So that sustainability reel competition, walkathon, you can have a walkathon fun for 5 kilometers with the sustainability slogans. So minimum 5 to 7 slogans are also mentioned. So these are certain basic initiatives we have taken for sustainability, for this ICI sustainability month. And everyone, I request everyone to please participate in this initiative, so that we can show our strength, because this is also very important national agenda by Prime Minister also, that we will see in the slides ki our honorable Prime Minister has also announced by when the India will become carbon neutral, and that's why we are taking the lead. We also want that ICI also become a carbon neutral. We also given the proposal to our president sir, ki how the India ICI can become the carbon neutral. The buildings we can implement the solar, and various other initiatives. We already not using the plastic bottles in our regular use by the regions and the branches. So these are certain initiatives which we already started and taking it further for making the ICAI as a sustainable, means 100% carbon neutral. We are also launching a carbon emission calculator, that is it will calculate, and it will be available free of cost to all the members and the CA firms and the stakeholders, where if that will actually what is the carbon emission in our office, that will automatically calculate it. Right now we are having the app, how many steps we are walking, right? It is calculating automatically. The similar way, there will be an app and the link on the website. If you put how many units of electricity is consumed at in our office, if you put, it will give the result how much is a carbon emission, carbon CO2 emission, carbon dioxide emission is there. Similarly, vehicles, if we are using from commuting from one place to another, if it is a petrol vehicle, diesel vehicle, or EV, electric vehicle, so how much travel we have done and how much it is carbon is emitted. So that scope 1, scope 2 carbon emission calculator will be available to all the members, which will be planning, which you are planning to launch on 1st July. And similarly, various other, we are also planning to have a tie-up with the tools for BRSR reporting and global reporting, where we are tying up with these tools vendors, where these tools will be available at concessional rate to the members. The right now this reporting cost is very, two tools are very costly, but we'll be tying up with the certain vendors, so that the cost is, it will be available for the members, so that they do practice in a better way. These are certain initiatives. We also formed the group for making the standard 5,000 standard on assurance. that is 5,000, which IAASB has already brought, and now we are also bringing, so that there is a reporting guideline. We are continuously in talk with SEBI also, and SEBI is also saying to have this standard 5,000. And at present, friends, this report, this assurance can be done, reporting as well as assurance is done by CA as well as non-chartered accountants. So we are represented to SEBI that there has to be a proper guideline, because if as a chartered accountant firm we are doing this assurance, then we are actually under the we are regulated under the disciplinary norms and the guidelines, whereas non-chartered accountants, they are also doing assurance at very much a lesser cost, and they are not regulated. So there has everyone have, whosoever is doing assurance, they have to be at par, and that we have already discussed with the SEBI, and on that basis we are planning to have some or other thing which will be coming up. I cannot say unless it comes up, but that discussions are going on at very high level, and looking forward that very soon we are also like everyone is at par. So these are certain initiatives taken by Sustainability Reporting Standard Board. In the morning, we had this tree plantation drive. Me personally, along with Revati Madam, Chairperson SIRC, and Rajendra Kumar ji, the Central Council member, and also our Honorable Vice President, sir, who also belongs from South, D. Prasanna Kumar ji, have, along with that Hyundai Study Circle members, visited this International Center of Excellence at Chennai and had tree plantation across India. I have already received various messages that across branches and the regions on this during this month, lot of initiatives have been planned. Even EIRC is also adopting one village for the tree plantation and very other initiatives. So these are certain updates what sustainability reporting standards is doing. Going further in terms of initiatives and this ESG. Can we change the slide, please? I'm not able to change. Yeah. So in sustainability, it is, friends, right now we are talking about this non-financial reporting since last couple of years. However, the sustainability is there since 1972. It's like 72, and if it's about now about more than 50 years, the sustainability is already there, and in various ways and forms. However, in COP26 at Glasgow conference at Paris, our Honorable Prime Minister has announced, and there is agreement between various countries, and it was announced that in India, India will become carbon neutral by 2070, and for that, various initiatives and the Panchamrut has been given, and that will be actually happening. This Panchamrut implemented by 2030, and accordingly, the regulatory requirements have also come, because the huge importance has been given by the tone at the top, and accordingly various initiatives have been started. So earlier Bombay Stock Exchange has made that reporting, sustainability reporting. We'll see in the next slide. And but now we'll see in the following slides how and for whom it is mandatory. So now it is a triple bottom line approach. So what is this triple bottom line approach? So whenever everyone invest in the share market, capital market, yes or no? Yes, investment or trading or derivatives, or majority as a chartered accountant, we do long-term investments, right? So what we see actually, see in the simple way I am asking, what we see the profit of the company. What are the financials, the profits, management, and if the profits of the company is good, then we invest in the shares, right? However, the concept in recent years has been changed from this 3P. Earlier, it was first is profit, then people, and then planet. No one was actually giving importance to the planet. But now the things are in reverse order. First, what you are doing for the planet. The first video which I have seen when I joined the sustainability board was people require nature or nature require people. Yes, anyone? Right? When we are seeing a lot of species of animals are no more, right? Dinosaurs, so we have never seen. We have only heard 100 years before the dinosaurs were there, and we have never seen. And the animals like tigers and the lions, like lot of species are not there, not maintained. Nature is not been taken care of. So if we don't take care of nature, tomorrow we will also, our next generations also will be no more. And that is, it is highly important that we take care of nature, and that is why the huge importance is being given to the planet, and then people, and then last is the profit. And this is how this triple bottom line approach has come. Yes, next slide please. Can you please operate or give? So these are like 17 SDGs and adopted by United Nations in 2015, and everything is around this 17 SDGs. And this lapel pin is there, which has been given by the Geneva, and we have distributed this lapel pin during last term to all our 1100 leaders of India. So these 17 SDGs are divided into environment, social and governance, and that mapping is been given. Which SDG, like it is no poverty, zero hunger. This is the ideal situation which every country wants, and these are mapped in 17 SDGs and in ESG terms. Right? So I'm not going into the details. So now how the evaluation of the ESG, that is also there. And in 2021, this is a history. How in last, see, it is from 1890, this sustainability, right? Sorry. When in olden days in India, our tradition always, like we used to make circular economy. If you, now it is called circular economy, but if you see in always like uh, whenever in India the culture was always like that. Whenever we buy new thing, so for example we buy sari or new shirt, then it is always first used to wear outside. Then after say 5 years, it will be used for their in-house. And after that, if it is now like it's very old clothes, then we make use that as a rags, right? And this is now, it is now in the new norms, it is called the called as a circular economy. But in India, we are always, our culture is always to use to the extent we can use, to the end of it. And this is all, but in now new terms terminology, it is circular economy. And after this Glasgow conference, and this sustainability reporting has become mandatory, 2021 and 2024, it has become mandatory for top 1000 listed companies by their market cap, uh, uh, and SEBI has made it mandatory that everyone is, when seeing the annual report, and one of the report is BRSR, that is Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report, which is there mandatory for top 1000 listed companies. Other several companies are doing voluntary basis also. And why it is required? So when this kind of ESG is been there, first is, it is regulatory requirement, and there is no option whether to do or not. So it will enhance the customers confidence and stakeholders confidence. The investors requirements are also there, that this kind of sustainability reporting should be there. So accountability to the nation, accountability for the social, for the environment, for the people will come when these kind of reports are being given. And it is a specific informations which are asked. There are a lot of information asked, but it is a specifically we have to give okay, how many handicap, how many women employees are there. So these are non-financial reporting. These specific informations are being given, and it demonstrates the progress of the company, and in turn it demonstrates the progress of the nation. So there are other than BRSR is mandatory by SEBI. However, at global level, there are various other reporting which are there, and these are like GRI or TCFD or ISSB. In fact, ISSB, I am also member of International Sustainability Standard Board Advisory Forum, which has been formed this is a third year, and they have brought S1 and S2. However, they have brought later on. Before that, our ICI has formed this Sustainability Reporting Standard Board, but S1 and S2 has also already been there, and they are also now following. Assurance has not come at global level. Only India level, this assurance has come for top 1,000 listed companies on glide path method. Then there is a also integrated reporting by Value Foundation. However, after this BRSR has come, now the importance of integrated reporting also has reduced. And then Sustainability Accounting Standard Board is also there. And there are various other frameworks like CDP, CDSP, SD, GD, etc. In India, how the sustainability reporting has evolved, entire things are mapped. However, I have already said that now it is mandatory for top 1,000 listed companies from 1/4/21. And now, however, the value chain, the SEBI has postponed at present. What is value chain? Value chain is like whatever material are being purchased, whether so 75% of the vendors also should be complied with the sustainability. So now sometimes it happens that majority of the members will say, "Okay, we are not doing any audits or any work for listed companies, but value chain, they might be purchasing from small and medium enterprises. And if value chain is there, they 75% of their purchases are from this kind of vendors, and it becomes mandatory for them also. So then it becomes mandatory for them to be followed. However, that mandatory requirement has been postponed by 1 year by SEBI. So these are the requirements. The evolution of BRSR has also been there, and the BRSR core is sustainability assurance. So the BRSR framework. Yes, you have any question?
Where wanting to export. So and India and MSME is typically the backbone of India. So and the typical Indian mentality is to comply with something only when it's mandatory, not to adopt something as a voluntary aspect. So is there anything on the cards on ESG for MSME sector, because that will help them gain a competitive advantage in the global market, because ESG is being mandated, especially at the EU level?
At present, BRSR is mandatory only for top 1,000 listed companies. It is not, there are more than 5,000 listed companies. It is
Exactly.
not mandatory for all the listed companies also. Again, the value chain, which I said just now, was supposed to be mandatory from this year. However, the SEBI has postponed that. Looking at the readiness of all the SMEs, the readiness of everyone in this sector. And that is why, to make them understand, give them sufficient time to be ready for this, that's why it has been postponed. Otherwise, sometimes what happens, it becomes mandatorily, and then it is not followed, then lot of it is not good in a good shape. And that's why that awareness will be created, and then it will become mandatory.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Value chain means the from when there is a company, the customers from whom they are purchasing. It's a value chain, right? The suppliers from whom they are purchasing. right? So the proposal was 75% of value chain should be mandatorily comply with this sustainability norms. So suppose a company is purchasing, say, purchases of the companies are, say, for example, 1,000 crores. So 750 crores should be complied with sustainability. So like a lot of companies like Cipla and all already started having dialogues and the sessions, interactions with their vendors, whether they are sustainability compliant or not, right? Otherwise, they will not purchase from them. So that is having huge impact, specifically on SMEs. Yes. So propose what is the requirement of BRSR? Sustainability reporting requirements are what? It's a very there are distributed in 3 sections. First is general disclosure, which requires the information like the where the company is located, the basic information, what is the size of the companies, the product, the turnover, and everything. Section B is like management and the processes, where the disclosure of all what are the policies of the companies, how their performance of the companies, and basic, these are also very basic information. Management, what is a management, what is a composition of KMPs and the management, the leadership composition, all those things in come in management and the process. And section C is the principles. Like we'll go next slide, the principles. What are the principles? These are like in ESG. So what are the requirements of these principles? So there are 104 questions. So in that it is divided into two, essential indicators and leadership. In essential, there are 62 questions and it is mandatory to be reported. However, the leadership are voluntary to be reported. So these are the 9 principles of, and in each principle, there are questions, mandatory and voluntary in each principle. Okay. So, like for a first principle is business should conduct and govern themselves with integrity, the manner that is ethical, transparent, accountable. So this is on ethics. Principle 2, provide the goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. Similarly, there are certain points, principles relating to ethics, certain relating to people, and certain principles are relating to environment, right? Environment and governance related, whether all laws, rules, regulations are being followed, who is responsible for that, right? Then people's policies, and whether top bottom or bottom top approach is there, whether all the level of people are included in any decision taking, whether how much is a woman ratio, what is a gender SDG 5 gender equality, whether any handicap people are there in the office and the company employed or not. So these kind of questions are there. So we have mapped these principles with respect to SDGs. That 17 UN SDGs are there. This has been, mapping is been done. So then also the calculation of GHG footprint, that is greenhouse gas footprint, what we have discussed earlier, which we want to make. So that is scope 1 and scope 2 is only there. So how much carbon is emitted in the office? There are office across India, 4 or 5 offices. The factories are there, 2-3 different locations. So at each location, how much is like carbon emission is there? And then that is to be reported. What is the water footprint? How much water is utilized? Energy footprint, that is electricity consumption. Again, the companies have also started taking the solar and other alternate energies. Nowadays, since last couple of years, you see a lot of companies have started using alternate energies, installing the solar panels in their buildings, so that their actual which are scarce energy resources are not used and renewable energies are being taken. Then the circularity and the waste management, whether what steps are being taken for this garbage, waste, and everything. So whether they are just throwing in the ocean and that pollution has been created, or whether degradation of this bio waste and those things are happening. Now, because of this reporting, the companies are already started doing this waste degradation, and new initiatives they have started taking. So reduction in the pollution also happens. Then embracing the employee well-being and the safety, and at the units, at the factory units, whether the training for the safety, whether they are using proper helmets, proper wears when they are on the job at the units, their safety, their insurance has been taken. So people related, employee related questions are also there. Gender diversity, we already said how many women ratio is there. LBG, QT, now certain percentage should be there to be employed. Then inclusive development, so MSME, the job creation, what they are contributing for the job creations. Then how they are engaging the customers and the suppliers, whether they are also having the surveys, whether customers are being satisfied, proper use, proper material, the quality materials, quality services are being given, what is the feedback system. Now you see, even if we fly in any airlines, everywhere there is a feedback. We purchase something online, there is a feedback system. So whether all those things are there, and the openness of the business. So this now the in July 23, the CBS, as we have discussed, assurance is also mandatory for top 1,000 listed company, and that is on glide path method. At present, this year 250 top 250 companies it is mandatory, and next 2 years it will be mandatory for 1,000 listed companies. The assurance. So assurance means we have to give this like audit, we can say in other norms. So, and it is BRSR core. There are 9 principles for assurance. On that, we have to give the assurance. So these are the certain initiatives of our Sustainability Reporting Standard Board. Some publications are also there. We have also developed sustainability reporting maturity model. So if you put the data of the company, so automatically the results will come ki at companies at what level, whether at very initial stage in following the sustainability, or they are at highest level and they are following all the norms of sustainability. So that sustainability reporting maturity model, we also release version 2.0, which is also available free of cost on the website of the institute. One can go through that. So these are certain initiatives we have discussed in the beginning. So this is a new concept of how many of you are aware, how many of you are social auditors? Only 2 speakers are there as a social auditors, right? So this is also very exciting concept of social audit, and I'm the first social auditor of India. And so there are about 600 plus social auditors, and the names of the social auditors are already there on the website of Institute of Social Auditors of India. The name members who are qualified the exam of NISM and enrolled themselves as a social auditor. So what is this social audit? Are you aware about the social audit? So without presentation, let me tell all of you what is a social audit. Friends, yes. So in 2019 budget, it was presented interim budget. What I recollect, June 2019, our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharamanji has announced that social stock exchange should be there in India. And after that, lot of things, the groups have been formed, and but because of COVID, nothing much has happened in 2 years. And then the group have become activated. And prior to that, before we started, there are 7 countries in which the social stock exchange is already present. That is Brazil, South Africa, Portuguese, Canada, Singapore, UK, and Jamaica. Out of which the social stock exchange concept is successful in only 3 countries. Okay, and but the concept in India is much, much different than what other countries have. So all of you must be part of any of the trust. Yes or no? Either as a treasurer, trustee, or as an auditor, must be doing audit. Yes or no? Almost all, right? Either as an auditor or in a trust, treasurer will be or chartered accountant only, right? So now, other than religious trust and political, other than corporate trust, so the trust can register themselves on the exchange. We have seen companies registering, listing them or themselves on the exchange. However, here the non-profit organizations can register and list themselves on the exchange, and which is called as social stock exchange, which is there in both Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. And there are certain norms which are being given who can register and list their Section 8 company or the trust, charitable trust or cooperative society with these objectives on the social stock exchange. And the audit of this will be done by whom? That is social auditors. So we have this Section 8 companies called Institute of Social Auditors of India, which is 100% subsidiary of ICAI, who is into the audits of and the members of them make the firm and become the social auditor and can do the social audit, which is non-financial audit. Now, for example, Revati madam and Lakshmi Narayan ji are very good friends. And Lakshmi Narayan ji is running one trust. This is an example, right? And one day on Sunday morning, he went to Revati madam's house for a cup of coffee and said that I am running one trust, and this is a educational trust which is doing education for the children in underdeveloped area, some Adivasi area. Okay. And for adopting one child, for this educating them for 1 year, the donation is 25,000 rupees. Now, and he requested Revati madam ki please give some donation. So now Revati madam thought, Lakshmi Narayan ji is a very humble person and he really does the activities for the benefit of this kind of the charitable activities for this kind of people. And because she knows him and he is doing such a good activity, she has a 100% trust कि whatever amount I will be giving to him, 100% it will be utilized for the purpose for which he is demanding. And that's why she said, okay, this time I am adopting 2 children and she'll give 50,000 rupees as a donation. However, what happens if someone XYG will come and ask anyone to donate, whether at the beginning we will do? Yes or no? No. Because she was knowing him very well. Sorry. She was knowing him very well and having trust and confidence, right? And this is how this social audit is. So what is the audit? What is the audit will be required? Whether in this trust, how many children are there, whether they are underprivileged, how many teachers are there, what is the system, right, of their teaching, attendance is there, exams are there, how the children are being passed. So these kind of audits are being done. It is a non-financial audit. Nothing is relating to the amount. This has already been done by chartered accountant. So the social auditor will do all these things, is a non-financial audit. And now the listing. So listing, once it is happening, this trust will get the funding in the form of ZCZP, that is zero coupon, zero principal instruments. And that can be for one trust or one activity or for entire trust. All the activities, it can be from any amount, and it can be in the in the norms of 5,000 to 50,000, 5 lakh, any amount. And it can be for one project of the trust, and the audit will be done. Utilization certificate also will be given by the social auditor, chartered accountant, and this uh, will build the trust. The audit report will be available on the website of the exchange as well as on the website of the trust. And this will become more transparency. And this is how this concept, and there is a capacity building fund which has been created under NABARD along with SIDBI, and these are actually supporting the initiative of the and giving support in terms of this donation in terms of ZCZP instrument to all the trust. So this is, and it can be for 1 year, more than 1 year, less than 1 year also. The time this project of the trust. So these are the new things which have come. This is also like 3-4 years when we have developed this Institute of Social Auditors of India. And how one can become social auditor by giving the exam conducted by NISM. For that, once you clear, you can apply for becoming the member of Social Auditor Institute. So I have given you the brief about entire thing on the social audit. The zero coupon, zero instrument, zero principal instrument. This is a non-transferable. It cannot be dealt as a share. It is non-transferable. And what will be the life of the ZCZP? It will be the life of the project. If, for example, there is one school and the school is having a project of building new building in another area, and the project period is 2 years. So, and they are issuing the ZCZP for say 10 crores or 5 crores for building the new project. And then accordingly, this will have the ZCZP life will be the life of that project. For teaching the students also, the life of that can be 1 year also. So depending on the project for which the listing will happen, that will be the lifetime of the ZCZP. And they are non-transferable and non-refundable. How to list? Everything is available on the website of the ISCI as well as on the NSE as well as on BSE. How many trusts are listed? Those details are also available. How many trusts are there? Are two process. One is registration, another is listing. As of now, 100 plus trusts are already registered and 10 trusts are already listed on the exchange. So we have, there are 16 thematic areas in which that are the social audit can, the trust can register. And on the basis of these 16 thematic areas, we have brought the social audit, 16 social audit standards and social audit framework. And accordingly, it has been drafted also. It has come. And these are non-financial. So we have given the norms because there are lot of now educational institute. There are hundreds of educational institute, right? The goal will be charitable, but there are hundreds of institutes, different types of institute in education also. Some is vocational, some for children, some for college. So like that, there are different kinds of this. So on that basis, the social audit standards have been drafted. There are 16. So these are based on all 16 thematic areas. Madam is also going to take that section 135 CSR. So there has been talk between MCA and SEBI also that certain amount or 10% of the amount, there are 30,000 crores funds in CSR by the companies. So 10% of the funds can be utilized for this listing purpose for ZCZP instruments. And if it is happening, there is a huge demand for this social listed NPOs on social stock exchange. So their KPIs are given how to report. the social audits. The framework is there. So the opportunities can be, you can become the social auditor, supporter to list the NPOs, the trust on the social stock exchange, and become a sustainability expert, drafting of BRSR, supporting the companies in drafting, become the assurance provider in sustainability, global sustainability reporting. So there are various opportunities. I also mentioned. So I have briefed everyone about this presentation also we will put on the website of the institute. So then everyone can take up, see whenever they require. But there are two more speakers and they'll be also taking up very important subjects. And I really thank you for being part of this webinar and physical seminar at SIRC. I also appreciate the efforts of SIRC for organizing this celebration of World Environment Day over here. So thank you, Revati madam, and entire team. And I also welcome both the speakers for taking the next sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for providing with such an insightful session with us. I now request CA Lakshmi Narayanan sir to join us with us. So before he joins, sir, I would like to have a short summary or a short brief summary about Lakshmi Narayanan sir.
Sir, come.
Sir, yeah, sir, please come to this. So he has 3 decades of rich and diverse experience spanning finance, accounting, auditing, corporate taxation, and secretarial practices. He has an impressive array of professional credentials, holding chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, and a registered valuer in security and financial assets. He also holds a certificate in social auditing from NISM. He has had senior position in industry, managing assignments of significant responsibility, including issue management, credit rating, and resource mobilization. He has undertaken certification in business reporting and sustainability reporting, artificial intelligence, forensic accounting, GHG accounting, carbon markets, and sustainable finance. Notably, he contributed as technical reviewer for ICI Sustainability Awards 2024, and he also currently serves as a committee on sustainability and standards of the SIRC of ICAI for the year 2025-26. Sir, we are indeed privileged to have you, sir. So I request you to take the stage, sir.
Good evening. So thanks for the nice introduction. And the topic assigned to me today was carbon markets. I think as chartered accountants, I think most of us wouldn't have heard about this topic because it's not relevant as of now. But next year, India is going to introduce, or India is going to operate carbon markets. Already work has started. 2026, by June, I think we'll have carbon markets. And sorry. Okay, and actually this program is scheduled on 2nd of June and got postponed to today to commemorate with World Environment Day. So I am extremely pleased to be part of this celebration, and let's hope that we understand the nuances of stuff, not in detail, but more of introduction, because this is a very new subject. And every line you read, I think there will be some terminology which you are not aware. If it is accounting or taxation, we will definitely understand that we can proceed further. I'll introduce the topic, and don't expect that you will become an expert in this session. Definitely not. I happened to study this subject 1.5 years ago, about 20 months ago. I joined a certificate course or a boot camp. It's a 30-hour boot camp. Subject is quite fascinating. I really love the subject. let me see whether I can translate that love to all of you. Okay, transfer the love to all of you. Okay, see, this is going to be the agenda. I am going to introduce what is capital market ecosystem. I think you can read all those things. And in between, there will be, of course, last I said quiz and FAQs. I don't think we have time. These are 30 slides, actually prepared for 2 hours, but I think we have lost time because additional speaker was added. So I'll be skipping a lot of slides here. Okay, and there'll be 2 videos, small, for understanding some nuances of why we are in the why we are talking about carbon market today. See, these are basically, I think these are sustainable. Before you understand carbon market, I think we need to understand some terminologies in ESG, because ESG is sustainable development. These are connected with carbon markets. And first is why we are talking about what is carbon, why we are talking about carbon. Carbon, see, basically we are talking about this subject because of global, two words. One is global warming, other is climate change. We have to understand these two. I think this is there. This presentation will be shared to all of you. I may not cover everything in detail. Okay. Global warming is long-term increase in temperature, in the Earth's average temperature, due to rising greenhouse gas emissions, primarily from human activities. What are human activities? Our travel, our food behavior, or our entertainment, all these things contribute to this. Climate change is actually, it has more broader effect, including shifts in weather patterns, sea level increase, temperature increase, floods, famines. You can see everything across at the same time. See, all these things were there even before, but now, because of global warming, the frequency has increased. If you go and do some study, just anyway, somebody can do, even go to Meta and study what are the major effects of global, major catastrophes in 2024. You get in plenty. Everywhere it is happening, we are not aware. Just now, madam talked about ESG framework, so I will not touch about it. So just a framework for reporting. And sustainable development goals, I think it's all started in 2015. So there are 17 sustainable development, actually 16. 7th is partnership, 16 sustainable goals, 7th is partnership. Next slide, I think we're going to see that. 17 sustainable development goals. And decarbonization is another terminal. These are terminologies we have to understand. Only then you can go to carbon market. That is why I'm talking about it. See, decarbonization is a process of reducing carbon dioxide emissions from energy use, industry, and transportation. Okay, and then what is the purpose of decarbonization? We have to reduce the consumption of greenhouse gases so that we can reduce the global warming, but it cannot happen immediately. It will take a longer period of, say, maybe of 20 or 30 years. Okay, other terminologies which are very important here is compliance compliance carbon market, and the other one is the voluntary carbon market. What is compliance carbon market? Compliance carbon market is one where the government says you have to do it. You have to reduce your carbon emissions. Basically, they call it as hard to abate industries, who are emitting a huge amount of carbon emissions. Carbon means not only carbon dioxide. We'll see what is that also, other gases also. Voluntary is somebody want to do it because they want to do it because they are going to, say, get some better mileage out of it also. And they want to contribute something back to the society so that the money can go into the into use of the money can go into the for use in climate change, climate financing. It's called climate financing. I'll explain that later. What is net zero? Net zero is net zero and carbon neutral, two terminals again we need to understand in carbon markets. Net zero is supposing you emit 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission is there. You have two options. One, you reduce it either by using non-fossil fuel powers, or use some technology to capture the carbon that is emitted from your factory and store it somewhere. By say supposing 10,000 10,000 tons you are emitting, 8,000 you are able to 5,000 you are able to say, let's assume 5,000 units you are able to reduce by by use of say non-fossil fuel power. Then electric vehicles. These will reduce your carbon footprint. Okay, then balance you can use other you get into new technologies like carbon capture and storage, all those things. These are all very expensive proposition, and your net emission will be zero. Say 10,000, 5,000 tons, you reduce it by alternative fuels, which are non-fossil fuels. Okay, and then carbon capture technology that 8,000 balance 2,000 is you have to make reduce it somehow. How to use it is a long-term effort. Only when you in net zero, you have to no purchase is allowed other than from the compliance market. Okay, you have to make the emission zero, and by use of technology or alternative fuels. Carbon neutral is you emit 10,000 tons. I buy offset from somebody else, from a voluntary carbon market. There, you don't reduce emissions. Emission with 10,000 will continue, but you buy the carbon credits from outside. Then you neutralizing your emission by purchasing credits from outside. Other is tons CO2 equivalent. See, there are 6 greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur, nitrous oxides, sulfur hexafluoride, perfluorocarbons, hydrofluorochlorines. These two are different, has different components, different global warming power. Everything has to be brought into one single reporting. So like we have a reporting currency under India is similar to that reporting uniformity. So everything will be converted into carbon dioxide equivalent by using carbon dioxide global warming potential and the estimated life in the atmosphere. For example, carbon dioxide unit is always 1 because that is the base. Methane is 28, which means methane is 1 ton of methane is equal to 20 tons of carbon dioxide. More potent, more it can cause more damage to the atmosphere. Okay, so nitrous oxide is about 200, global warming potential is 273. But the proportion of nitrous oxide are all very, very less. Carbon dioxide is always more. Is more than 70% of greenhouse gases comes from carbon dioxide. That is why we call it a CO2 equivalent, not CH4 equivalent. 70% comes from carbon dioxide. Global warming potential also, I said. One more thing. Every human being is breathing out carbon dioxide. Is it a greenhouse gas or not? No. The reason is greenhouse gases comes out of fossil fuel. Our what we emit carbon dioxide is actually coming from the plants and the food, the rice, the animals that we eat, vegetarians and non-vegetarians. Everything comes with carbon dioxide inside. This is converted, and this carbon dioxide is short duration carbon dioxide. It gets absorbed into the plants and animals again. Short duration, whereas other carbon dioxide, the potential is estimated life of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 100 to 300 to 1,000 years, some say, but definitely more than 100 years. And methane is 12 years. Nitrous oxide, 114 years. It will live in the atmosphere for 114 years. Sulfur hexafluoride, 3,200 years. That is the damage that can cause. That is why we have to reduce. So coming back to this human emitted carbon dioxide, short duration, it will be absorbed by the plant. I remember somewhere in 1980s, See, I went to Telco Jamshedpur for an interview. Inside the toilet, they said, please do not smoke. If you smoke, do not exhale. So in the case of humans, if it is a greenhouse gas emission, what is going to happen? We cannot afford to be exhaling carbon dioxide outside. We have to do it to survive. So, and moreover, definitely, I read an article somewhere. Somebody they said that you have to include human emitted carbon dioxide also into greenhouse gas accounting, but not required. This is the reason, and this is short duration. I mean, maybe within a short span of 1 or 2 years, it will get absorbed in the plant. What sustainable finance is any amount of financing done for the purpose of combating any of the 17 sustainable development goals, be it electrification of non-fossil fuel electric hydrogen, or development of any of this, as Madam was talking about, the social causes. All this is any money that is going to support any of the 17 sustainable development goals is called sustainable finance. Carbon market is also part of sustainable finance. Okay, I'll explain how it comes. Next is we have GHG scope 1, 2, 3. See, on top of it, you see CO2, CH4, nitrous oxide, HFCs and PFCs, SF6. These are divided into 3, currently 3. Scope 1 is what you burn in the company, in your factory. For example, your own car, your diesel gensets, that comes under scope 1. Burn. Scope 2 is buy, whatever you buy, electricity. All those things comes under scope 2 emissions. Purchase electricity, steam, heating, cooling for own use. Scope 3 is divided. Scope 2 and scope 3 are called as indirect emissions. Scope 3 is divided into upstream and downstream. Okay, so, upstream is whatever that is up to the product is coming to finished, up to the product from raw material to finished stage, it is coming under scope upstream emissions. Other one is when the product is finished, till the product is gone to the waste, that comes under scope 3. There are methods of computing these emission factors, emission quantity also. Scope 3 is always debatable. That is why in CBAM also, they don't consider scope 3 emissions right now. It is subject to a lot of judgments. It is not accurate, actually. See, it is based on the amount spent. It is based on some travel estimated numbers. Okay, so they don't consider down scope 3 emissions even CBAM. Madam, you're asking some question on CBAM. What is that?
They are not audited by CBAM. So, do we have anything for MSME sectors in India to be voluntarily compliant with ESG to tackle CBAM so that they can access the European market?
See, CBAM does not make anything mandatory. For example, GST, when it was launched, a lot of corporates, especially big corporates, they say if you're not registered with GST, you'll be no more a vendor for us. You are forced to register. If you want business, you have to do it. Okay. Similarly, in CBAM, if you want to export business, you comply. They're not asking you. They're not forcing you anything.
Exactly. They're not
Do
forcing
it
us.
if you want business. Otherwise, I'll go to some other supplier because, see, it is it's a competitive. You have got to mature. Otherwise, you cannot continue in business. There is the CBAM does not regulate anything. They say report. That's all.
No, but is there any certification or a voluntary declaration for these MSME players that will help them, be compliant with those standards? Because unlike BRSR, I don't think it's possible for MSME to get into such a large and extensive framework.
See, if you are exporting, today about 6 or 7 products are covered under CBAM.
Steel.
Now, hydrogen, steel, iron steel, hydrogen, petroleum, electricity.
Yeah.
All those 6 products are covered. If you are in that business, if you are exporting, you are big enough, you are not going to export $100.
Correct.
Okay. So you have to comply, otherwise lose business. You have to become competitive. If you want to continue in business, you've got to learn something and do something. And today there is no CBAM. In fact, there is no awareness for CBAM in South. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of, I know a lot of people in the North where I've studied a lot of certificate courses. Everybody talks about CBAMs. Here, absolutely no awareness. In
No,
fact,
you're right, sir. When compared to Pune, I don't think Chennai or Salem stands a
definitely not there.
chance. Yes.
Definitely not there. I think our CA Institute should take the cue and do something about it.
It's
In
also
fact,
to create awareness amongst those.
first of all, we should know, we should understand first. And CA Institute should definitely do something about it. In fact, Madam is not there. I think next session I want to do on CBAM. I've already attended some boot camps. I have some basic knowledge, of course, all done about 1 year back. Some basics and updates I have to do it. But so for your query, there is no compulsory thing that you should continue.
Got it.
If you want business, do it. Otherwise, say thank you and say goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, right. Okay. Now we have understood some basics. Hope if you have any question, please ask me. Because these are all fundamentals. The only from now you have to build on to the carbon markets. I suppose no questions, so let me proceed. See, so now let's see the history of carbon markets. See, scope 1, 2, 3 emissions are virtually it's going to become mandatory in going forward. Maybe 3-4 years it will become mandatory, because anybody wants to do carbon neutral or anyone wants to become net zero, without computing this, you cannot do anything. Okay, so this will become mandatory soon. But in fact, I personally feel this should be brought into as MSMEs also. At least this very small portion part of it, they have to do it. Not much of work involved in this actually. Okay, now coming to the brass tacks. This is the subject, this is the topic. Okay, history of, let's see the history of carbon markets. Actually, I forgot to put one video, small video I want on climate change. Leave விட்டுருங்க இப்ப Banu. எனக்கு டைம் எத்தனை இருக்கும்? 6 மணி இருக்குமா? இல்லை அவங்க இருக்காங்களே, எனக்கு எத்தனை இருக்கும்? ஓகே, leave it. See, carbon market actually started in late 1990s in late 1980s in US. First thing when it happened was these power producing companies using coal, they were emitting sulfur dioxide into the air. What happens during the rainy season? The sulfur dioxide interacts with the water vapor in the atmosphere, comes back as acid rain. H2 sulfuric, it's called sulfuric acid. H2 is high water vapor interacting with sulfur dioxide, comes back as sulfuric acid rain. It's called acid. It's called as acid rain. To prevent that, there was no mechanism. So US and the companies also have no intention of doing anything, because there is no incentive for them to reduce. If it goes, let it go. That's why I am not affected, because I am important in making my own profits. So nothing was done. So then what happened? The US government said, if you are emitting carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, you have to reduce, otherwise you have to pay a tax. It all started. It is more, it's not exactly a market, it is more an policy decision. And they applied cap and trade off. So they said, beyond this, you should not emit. That is the beginning of carbon market, 1980s, late 1980s. And from there it started. Now, 1997, we have Kyoto protocols. Protocols, if you have time, I'll cover. I don't think I have time. But 1997 Kyoto protocol is the first legal mechanism to introduce carbon markets. They introduced market-based mechanisms, the IAT, CDM, and joint investments. CDM and joint investments are, see, Kyoto Protocol it was not mandatory. It was mandatory for global north countries. See, world is divided into two: developed countries, underdeveloped or developing countries. Developed countries are called as global north, and developing countries are called global south. Or Schedule 1 countries are developed countries. Schedule 2 countries are called as developing countries. This Kyoto Protocol made it mandatory for the global north to reduce their carbon emissions. Okay, they made it mandatory for them. Other countries are excluded. Other countries are excluded. CDM is called as Clean Development Mechanism. What they will do, developing countries, they will invest in some project outside in the developing countries. Any credit, any carbon credit that is generated from the particular project, they used to offset their against their emissions. Joint investment is actually between two developed countries. They're all like two own brothers. Now, see, clean development is for developing economies. Joint investment is for developed countries. Between two developed countries, if they create one particular project, say between USA and UK, if they develop a project, any carbon emission comes, they will share it equally, or with some shares they will do it. That is joint investment. Okay. In 2005, this is the beginning of carbon market. Actual beginning of current carbon market that we see today. EU ETS is one of the pioneer in the field of carbon markets. In fact, whatever you read, I think you are forced to go back to EU ETS because it is so popular. Virtually, it's very complete and very progressive trading system. European Union trading system is there. So they launched in 2005. It is a cap and trade mechanism. Okay, and then Paris Agreement came in 2015. These agreements, you see, every year the members of United Nations, they meet every year. It's called as Conference of Parties. Last year it was done in, it was held in Azerbaijan. This year, November, December, it's going to be held in, I think, Brazil. Okay, say in 2015, Paris Agreement is a landmark agreement on carbon market. All the 196 countries participated, agreed for, signed the agreement. The thing is, it is not mandatory. You can go back, nothing is going to be done. But everybody agreed that there is a impending disaster is going to come in the form of global warming. So they agreed, they said they'll do everything to combat. The difference is in Kyoto Protocol, only developed countries are responsible. Here, both developing as well as developed countries are not equally responsible for their emissions. Oh, see, when Trump comes, it happens. Last time he actually pulled out. He committed something. He refused to do it. That's why I'm telling this can happen. It is not mandatory. Here, in the Paris Agreement, see, Paris Agreement will be in carbon markets. It will be discussed every now and then. In the Paris Agreement, what they did, even the countries have their Kyoto Protocol top down only for developing countries. Here, developed countries, here it is bottom up approach. All the countries are equally responsible for making the global warming, reducing the global warming. Every country has committed that reduce the carbon emission. Madam also was telling India is going to reduce carbon emission net zero by 2070, US by 2050. So many countries have committed. It was not there prior to Paris Agreement. So Paris Agreement is actually driving the global fight against global warming. It's because of this. And European Union is a leader. What does carbon? Now we have seen the history of carbon market. What is it? It is a carbon market. Actually, when European Union, when they introduced the carbon market, what is carbon market? It's where you are going to buy and sell carbon credits. 2005, when they launched European EU ETS, people called us as pollution market for polluters or pollution market. It is because only polluters participate in that. Polluters means not everybody pollutes, but specific gases So they say it's polluters market. So a market system where carbon credits, every ton of carbon dioxide is equal to one unit. Okay, it's called as allowances. Allowances we will see in another Vishnu. The video, 1 minute video, wait பண்ணுங்க. And it's a place where allowances are bought and sold. Somebody who needs an allowance will buy from somebody who is actually has some surplus. Okay, it's a market. எங்க மாத்திட்டீங்க? நான் மாத்திட்டேனா? Why it's existing? Because it incentives companies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by turning emissions into financial cost or opportunity. Okay, because when you reduce emissions, you have surplus, you don't have a commitment to them, you can sell that emission and make money. So the question is whether it is taxable or not. India, we have section 115 BBG. As chartered accountants, we are interested in income tax. 115 BBG is a section which will undergo a change coming year because the type of projects which are going to talk in the Indian carbon market is not included there. So this section will undergo a change. According to section 115 BBG, 10% of income is taxable. If you earn by selling these carbon credits, if you sell say 10 lakh rupees, 1 lakh you have to pay tax. 1 lakh, say 10% tax on carbon sale, unit sale. Okay. Sorry for the digression now. When you incentivize company to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, so we're turning emissions to financial cost or opportunity. When you make money, you pay tax 10%. Okay. So this particular slide I have not covered in my presentation. That is why I'm telling in between. Okay, what is the type of carbon markets? We have two types of carbon. We have seen that 1 minute. And the 1 minute video, 95-second video. And see, we'll be seated for a few minutes. No, sir. Irka? Display all.
To emitters agreements and the high cost firms doing less. The overall impact is that emissions get reduced at the lowest possible economic cost. Two parts. The trade system has two parts. The first part is the cap. The government sets a maximum amount of emissions. The second part is the trade. The government sells or issues permits to emitters of greenhouse gases. And every emitter needs a permit for every ton of GHGs that they emit. The trade part is that they can trade among themselves, and in that market for permits, a price is established to reduce emissions. Let's look at an example. Imagine two companies. Let's call them Company A and Company B. Based on the market price of carbon, Company A and B determine what investments they can make that will reduce their emissions at a lower cost than paying the carbon price. They then must ensure their permits equal their remaining emissions. Company A identified many low-cost opportunities to reduce emissions. As a result, it has more permits than it needs. Company B, on the other hand, mostly has expensive options for reducing GHG emissions. As a result, it wants to buy additional permits. Trading benefits both companies. A sells its excess permits to B. What is the overall impact on the economy? All companies take actions that make sense for them. Collectively, their decisions satisfy the cap, with the low-cost firms doing more emissions reductions and the high-cost firms doing less. The overall impact is that emissions get reduced at the lowest possible economic cost.
So as you see, capital trade.
Companies are driven by money. So putting a price
See, you've seen how the cap and trade works. Government gives you an allowance. Say if you're emitting, say, when it was introduced, they say when you're emitting 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide, what they'll give is they'll give an allowance at say 90%. They say you'll be permitted, you'll be given an allowance up to 90%, which means that 9,000 tons you can emit. If you do anything more, you have to pay a price. If you do anything less, you can sell it to somebody who wants. You saw the example here in the company A and company B. You can sell and make money. And how does the government make money in this? You say carbon market is a tool where government can use the funds for getting into some sustainable finance activities. That section I'm definitely not going to cover. That's why I'm taking it in advance, because chartered accountants are interested in that. Say when you set up a market, there will always be a primary sale. When you go for an IPO, it is a primary sale. Where is the share coming? You sell, only then it goes to in this example we saw in the secondary market. Cap and trade, we saw secondary market. Primary market is from how it is created, how the allowance is created, how the credit is created. Government will give you at an auction. They'll give free allowance. In the example we saw, 9,000 tons you are entitled to emit. That will be given free of cost. Balance 1,000. Like that, there will be so many companies. They'll be auctioning that. That auction money is quite huge. For example, last year, 2024, European Union got 38 billion euros on account of auction. These money, they'll use it for climate-related activities or any other sustainable development activities. 38 billion euros. Going forward, the price is going to go up because every year allowance will be reduced. So there will be more demand in the secondary market. Prices will go up. The price in the carbon market, in the compliance market is very high, because it's like RBI giving a currency. Nobody can question that. Okay, nobody can question, because it has got a sovereign guarantee. So price is very expensive. Incidentally, 2023, the EU ETS price touched 101 euros, close to $118 per ton of carbon dioxide emission. So example, if you make see what is the amount of money people will be making, how much they will be spending. That is why it is motivating people to go for newer technologies like carbon capture, go for solar power. Market will force them to do it. Every year, they will reduce it to now 90,000. Next year, they will reduce it to 85,000. By 2035, they want to eliminate all the allowances. By then, you should be ready to spend your own money. Instead of buying from the market, you invest in your own technology, reduce the emissions. This is how market is pressurizing the market participants to invest in this technology, so reduce emissions. How the government is making money? First, the auctions. Second thing is penalties. If you don't comply with any of the requirements of the European Union compliance market, you pay for every ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, say 100 euros. They collect quite a lot of money. And see, in 2021, they collected 17.9 million euros. 23, they collected about 88.8 million euros. Huge money they will collect. And they are merciless. European Union is far ahead of rest of the world. So they will collect. See how they make money. One is auctioning emissions in the initial stage. Then companies who are selling, they're making profits. So on that, you pay. Now you saw 115 BBG, 10% tax. There also it is taxable. So you pay tax on that. The government is making money in that. Second thing is, in some of the projects, government retains a share. For example, United Nations, when they do the clean development mechanism or any other project, their fee is 2%. It's called as social adaptation fund. This fund, they will use it for, they will not collect money from the market participant. Instead, the carbon amount, the carbon credit is given to the creditor to their account. They will sell it directly, either for some corporates or any other country who wants to, who are contributed to, who are to match their nationally determined contributions. NDCs are commitment, voluntary commitment given by all the countries to the United Nations that they will reduce the carbon footprint over a period of time. So every year they have to, India is also committed. These countries can buy from this United Nations. Also, they will buy from outsiders. And another very important point you have to understand is these two are not fungible. See, you cannot buy from voluntary carbon market to offset your emission in the compliance capital market, because compliance is very costly. 2020, I said more than 100 euros. Now it is hovering around 65, 70 euros now. Going forward, when the allowances are going to be reduced, it can even touch 500 euros. So that is a serious. Madam, you asked about CBAM. CBAM penalty is linked to EU ETS. So 1 ton of carbon dioxide penalty that you have to pay is $500. Sometime later, it's going to become. Now it is almost about $65, $70. The penalty for violation of CBAM is about 1.5 times of the EU ETS price, I think. Okay. No, they are not deferred. I don't think so. See, European Union will be merciless. I think they are very, very serious about global reducing global warming. Very, very serious. Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely it will be difficult to comply. Then GST and VAT registration and issuance fee. When any project is registered, they have to, any company which is going to be registered under the compliance mechanism, they have to pay. This is the source of money. UN also gets the same as an adaptation fund, 2% for all projects. UN also spend money on this in these projects. So they get also administrative fees and also voluntary contributions. So how it works, as I said, it is they have to buy and sell in the secondary market. That's how carbon market works. If you emit more, you buy more from the market. If you emit less, you can sell it. Okay. And if you emit more, you also pay penalties if you don't buy the credit from the market. 1 credit is equal to 1 ton of carbon dioxide or CO2 equivalent. Okay. Now, this I'll skip because I have only 15-20 minutes. Madam, your time is 1 hour or how much? 1 hour. So for any market to survive, I think you need an infrastructure. Basically, infrastructure comprising of or an ecosystem where you have everything that can run very smoothly. So one is basically regulators and standard. I will not delve upon anything in this. I'll just go through the slide very quickly. And project developers are very important because only because of the particular project, credit is going to be generated. This is more of a compliance market, voluntary market. Okay, third-party verifiers and validators. If your project is there, what is the integrity of the credit that you say that you are generating? It's only verification and validators are validation first, verification comes later actually. When the on verification, that only gives credibility to your credibility and integrity to your credit. Then we have registries. Registries, they maintain all the, like a share registry, you maintain all your records. Okay, buyers and traders, who creates actually the demand, and then marketplaces and exchanges. Like stock exchange, we have a lot of carbon markets across the globe. And we have spots in futures also. The future setting is also there in this market. Of course, advisors, consultants, and auditors like us, NGOs and watchdogs, they are very, very important, because if there's something goes wrong in the market, NGOs will raise their voice, and it makes matters worse for the violators. But despite that, a lot of things are happening in this voluntary carbon market. Voluntary carbon market is not what do you call safe as compliance capital market. See, it's sovereign guarantee, it is private. That's all. Okay, a life cycle of carbon, once the credit is generated by the company, they issue credit, somebody will buy. So listing is then listing is will happen via brokers, exchanges, then sale and transfer. Okay, somebody will sell, somebody will buy. You know what's happening? Banking is one term where banking and retirement, a very important topic I want you to understand. Banking is, suppose you buy today and you don't want to use it right now. What you'll do, I'll buy it. Today is price is low. Tomorrow I know it's going to be high. I'll buy and keep it, sort of a hedging. And not many stock exchanges, carbon markets are allowing this. Some are allowing only for limited period of time. This will unnecessarily push the market price. So they will not do it. Banking, just keep it, buy it now and keep it for later use, because future you are expecting the price to go up, so that to save some money you do it. Retirement is permanently removing from the registry. After that, it cannot be sold. It's like, you buy a movie ticket, go into that, that's all. You cannot get the refund. You have to, the money is spent already. Carbon accounting, especially when it comes to accounting, only on retirement we will be taking it as an offset, and the expenses will be booked in the books only at the time of retirement stage, not before that. Even if you buy and keep it, it's only a prepaid expenditure or intangibles. So types of carbon pricing, we have emission trading system. We saw cap and trade. There is a baseline and credit system. Cap and trade I will not talk, because we have seen that. Baseline and credit system is slightly different kind of different type of mechanism. Here, the cap is not fixed by the government uniformly. Here, it's a project specific. That project say you are able
by 2030. There's no negotiation. We need to get off by then, not 2045, as our government proposes it right now. We waited way too long, and this is a death sentence to society.
So, as leaders respond to climate change, is the world moving fast enough towards clean, secure energy? Climate activists say things have been made worse by the global energy crisis. The Russian invasion of Ukraine presented a historic opportunity for green change, but campaigners insist Europe failed to grasp it. Until Russia turned off the taps, it supplied Europe with more than 40% of its imported gas and about a quarter of its oil. And yet, to plug this gap, governments across Europe turned back to fossil fuels to keep the lights on.
The government right now, they are fueling the crisis by still subsidizing fossil fuels, by extracting more oil, more gas.
In January 2023, the German village of Lützerath grabbed global headlines with the mass occupation of a site where the government gave permission to expand the coal mine.
You are the change and you are the hope.
For every ton of carbon footprint.
The fact Green Party ministers also backed the
There
plant.
is another
only
terminology you have to
fueled
understand.
anger.
Originally, what happened when the local corporates in the European Union, they have to pay tax on their emissions. What they did,
It really
they said they'll
encapsulated some of the
remove the
tensions
factory
that
from
governments
here.
faced in reacting
set up
to
factory
Russia's
outside the European
invasion, which
Union.
was a desperate
suddenly
time,
they become net
and
zero.
governments
Because
took
there's
desperate
no
and
emission, because
controversial
emission
measures.
is shifted
Governments
elsewhere
turned
outside the
to
union.
fossil.
This is known as carbon leakage. And to plug this leakage, they've introduced what is known as carbon border adjustment mechanism. It is going to be payable from 1st January 2026. Now, now it's a transition period. It's going to start from 1st April 2026. Payment is going to start. And based on this, other country, UK has started. UK, they're going to start from 2027. And it's a major, it's going to have a major impact because steel and aluminum alone about 8 billion US dollars and 2 billion US dollars. These two products, okay, have a major dent and on the Indian exports if they don't comply with the requirements. But India as a country also fighting with the European Union. They are saying, but they are not budging. But they say otherwise, India is also planning to introduce some carbon tax on these products. See, if you pay anything in the compliance market, it's not counted. So if you pay anything in the the voluntary market, it's not counted. Compliance market, it is counted. So what they are going to do is, Indian government is planning to introduce it's only next year. So they are, you can expect something to happen before this year end, where they introduce sort of a carbon tax on these particular products. Any compliance tax that you pay in the country of manufacture or country of export, that can be set up against the CPE liability in the US. In the UK, European Union. Okay, only complaints mechanism. Voluntary is not allowed. Okay, that is CBAM. And carbon tax is, if you emit some 1 ton of carbon dioxide, you pay some tax. For example, we have India, we have coal. For every ton of coal that you import, you have to pay 400 rupees cess. It's not a tax exactly, it's a cess. 400 rupees cess you have to pay. Similar to Sweden, is a country which is imposing on a very heavy tax on carbon emissions. I think they touched 130 euros also some time back. $130, I think. So about we have totally approximately about 200 countries in the world. About 39 countries only have about the carbon compliance carbon markets. Others are using only voluntary carbon markets. Voluntary carbon markets. The primary reason is that setting up a carbon market takes time consuming. It takes about, for example, India started this work in 2022. Yet to get operation, it's going to get operation only 2026, approximately 3.5 to 4 years. So for here, tax is very simple. The Finance Act, you add something. So next day, maybe in the beginning of the financial year, you can start charging the money will come into your kitty. It's very simple. Other is internal carbon pricing. Internal carbon pricing is, it is not a voluntary one. Again, once again, what they will do is for every ton of carbon dioxide emitted by the company, they price it notionally. Say, for example, say $10 per ton of carbon dioxide. They'll allocate this money, keep it separately, use it for some technological improvement, going towards say, for example, solar power or windmill, something they can do with that money. It is mandatory. Infosys has done it. They were able to reduce that. By using the money, they are able to reduce their emissions also. In India, about 28 companies or 29 companies are already adopting this internal carbon pricing method. The concepts and terminologies, I think I leave it because I don't have time. Major climate agreements are Kyoto Protocol, we have initially discussed, and then Paris Agreement. Then we have CORSIA. CORSIA is actually a tax on the international airlines coming from International Civil Aviation Organization, and tax is not started. I think it's starting in 27 onwards. I think now it's in the transition phase. Up to 24, it is transition pilot phase. 24 to 27 is a transition phase. 27, they are going to impose tax on carbon. It's called as carbon offset detection scheme for international aviation. Okay, I think about 160, 170 countries are members of the committee. It's applicable. India is not participating at this level, but 1/1/2017 onwards, I think 27 onwards, I think India has to pay a price on the international flight. Green Deal, ETS reforms, phenomenal achievements, really great. And they have introduced what is known as Fit for 55 in a couple of years, 2021. want to reduce 55% of emissions from the 1990 levels. Okay, so they've introduced a package. CBAM is one of that. This you have seen. Okay, Indian government, we are in the transitions phase now. We are going to launch next year. Now India is actually comes under both voluntary and compliance market. They are starting. It's known as they are building on the existing PAT scheme for voluntary carbon market. PAT and okay, so key authorities, CCTS is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. They are the nodal agency. Ministry of Power, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Then Power Exchange of India Limited. They are going to be the platform for trading. Central Electricity Regulation Corporation, which they are the regulators like SEBI for carbon markets. Targets in the first phase: steel, cement, power generation, fertilizers, pulp and paper, refineries and petrochemicals. And we are going to follow cap and trade for compliance market. Voluntary is always voluntary. You can choose any method. There also it's also going to be regulated very well. Yes, in fact, yesterday there was a requirement. There's a circular from Ministry of Energy, Bureau of Energy Efficiency for verification. Chartered accounts are not included. Of course, we cannot do it. Only technical engineers and engineer qualified. They have put the verification circular has come yesterday. Same intensity is eligibility to ton of carbon dioxide that is uniform across the globe. Okay, so sector will increase. Initially for phase one, we have seven sectors. I think gradually they will increase it. And here no export is allowed. And between compliance and it's not fungible. Only for voluntary carbon market is only for voluntary carbon market. And no export is allowed. Previously, we used to, under normal mechanism, it was allowed. Under the other mechanism, the project here can be exported because clean development mechanism, somebody is going to invest in your company. That credit he will take it. So it means that amounts to export. Okay. Now in this Indian carbon market, it is not allowed. Nothing much is happening. I mean, a lot of things happened in the last 4 years, but I think actual market we will see. And the market size is estimated to be about 9,000 crores or something. More than $1 billion. This compliance market is going to be compliance market, not compliance market. Okay, I'll come with a big bang. Okay. I don't know, 5 minutes, maximum 3 minutes. Okay, this is what we are interested as CS. What are the areas where CS can add value? One is accounting and valuation of carbon credits. So classification, how it is going to be valued, it depends on what type of usage you have, whether it is an inventory or intangible. Intangible, there's always a debate going on whether it is classified, should be classified as intangible or treated as a prepaid expenses. Okay. And then ESG in sustainability reporting, big opportunity, definitely big opportunity. I think, and I tell you the fees in Bombay for BRS are proposed about 5 to 5.5 lakhs per assignment. Here it is actually far lesser, but look at the size. If you file one income tax return, how much you will get? Please, this is a new area. I think all of us should actually get into these areas. Madam was talking about social stock exchange. This is another area. Again, carbon tax and trade advisory. You see, for example, tax on advice on tax exposure, especially CBAM. For European Union, UK is also coming. Other countries will definitely follow suit. India will also do it shortly. So all these things, I think we as chartered accountants are definitely have a hand on this. Then, as I said, internal corporate pricing mechanism. That also, I think you can see internal corporate, not just like that fixing $5 or $10. You have to work out some. There should be some. It's also a little bit of procedure oriented. I think that is where we can also contribute. Then we have very similar audit and risk management, sustainable finance and M&A, policy advisory. Thank you. Okay. Thanks a lot. Sorry, new topic. I think I only introduced the subject. In depth, I think it'll take, I attended a 30-hour session, lot of things to learn. And one thing I can tell you is really fascinating, very, very interesting subject. Not only this, entire ESG related areas. Climate science, for example, if you keep reading, you'll keep reading continuously. Thank you very much. Those are, I think they will send the email. Now, email you'll get for this presentation.
Thank you, sir, for this knowledgeable and insightful section. So we have our third session with Ms. Banu Rodriguez, ma'am. Ma'am, request you to join on the stage, ma'am. So I would like to have a brief summary of, a brief short summary of Mary Banu Rodriguez, ma'am. She is a director for Social Initiative and Management, Chennai, and director of Social Audit Network, UK. With
Bespoke models like these are not in the budget for most.
Has not only led to organizations like Oxfam and Action, but also import,
However,
countless
sales of EVs have been turbocharged by the benefits they offer
also
in fuel costs and
committed to
convenience.
transparency, accountability, and social
very,
trainer,
very convenient
and she's
to charge
also
a car at home.
Well-respected,
And it's also very cost
academic
effective.
mentor
Less
at
than a
leading
third,
institutions like
give or
Lyra
take,
College,
on the
Mary's,
cost
and Madras
to
School of
fill up a
Social
car
Work.
with
Her
electricity
notable
than it is to fill up
achievements
with
also
gasoline.
include
The
prestigious
effect of
Karmavir
that
Chakra Award
is
and
a
RES
much greener
Karmavir
solution.
Global Fellowship, which stand as a testament to a trial.
But not everyone around here is happy to do away with petrol.
Show me this Frankenstein of a car you got here.
Old attitudes die hard.
I grew up in the muscle car era. In 65 to 68 in high school, if you wanted a hot, good-looking chick, you needed a hot, good-looking car. It was just that simple.
Continued growth in the EV market is central to a green future, and here the numbers are encouraging.
Very good evening to all of you.
By
Thank you for your
2025,
patient,
EVs will make up a
time,
quarter of new
meeting.
car sales
And we
globally,
appreciate that this
putting
is
a
being
total of
streamed online
77 million
for the
EVs
benefit
on the
of others
road.
pan-India.
This figure
Yes,
is set
I'm
to
going to
rise
talk a
to over
little bit
700
about,
million in 2040, when an
social audit
estimated
standards,
three-quarters of new car
the need
sales
for
will be
social
electric.
impact,
To get
the
there,
indicators
car
that
makers
we
around
need
the
for
world will
social
invest
impact.
$1.2 trillion
As
by
financial
2030.
auditors, I'm sure that you all know.
What's really
the
interesting
law which
in
goes
recent
for the,
years is the surge in money going
what we
to
say,
electrified transport, which is
financial,
now about as large
made by
as
the
the
law.
level of
But
capital
this,
going to wind and solar.
new
And so for a
avenue
long time,
asking for social
green
audit
cars,
in
electric
India,
cars
it has
were
been
something that
common
investors were
abroad in
excited
UK,
about, but hadn't
Jamaica,
really hit the mainstream, and now
China
that's
and,
changed.
Other countries. But here in India, that
But
it is
there are
new,
hazard signs
there's
ahead.
a lot of opportunities
EVs need
for any professional who has a sound backing in the social sector to engage in. Yeah. But for those who do not have, it is not an impediment at all, because we are all living in a society. We all know what the social issues are. We all are facing day-to-day challenges, and we are coming out with resolutions. So, but there's a way of handling social issues. What I may feel as a resolution may not be the same perspective for another person. So that's why we come out with standards. So if we are going to talk about poverty, what is the standard? What is the benchmark for saying that I'm going to eradicate poverty? From the Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals to CSR Act to social audit standards, every standard is talking about poverty. What is poverty? As a chartered accountant, how will we define poverty? Probably with the BPL benchmark laid out by the government. Yeah, the minimum wage is given. The Manrega, 100 days, and okay, you qualify not to be a BPL person because you have government rations and things. So we have got financial qualifications for mentioning that he is poor or not poor. But when you look at it from the social angle, is there really someone who is poor in our country? How will you define poverty? Let me tell you a story. There's a beggars colony in Bihar. So when the first perception or a first thought, a visual coming in our mind, when we say beggar, what does it we think about? Very poor person, doesn't have food, wears tattered clothes. I wonder how he has his home, maybe or lying on the streets, right? But in Bihar colony, there's a beggars colony where people are living in concrete houses. This is no exaggeration. It has been validated by a reporter who was working for Times. and he's now with the World Bank. And they have AC, washing machine, fridge, TV, blah, blah. They have very good clothes to wear. Morning, they are out in a uniform to beg. It is their right. It is their choice. So are these people poor? How are we going to determine, is that a social issue or not? So we are going to look at both how we are going to have indicators to measure the impact of the social change that an organization has brought into, and what the social issues are for us to determine whether this issue needs attention or not. Yeah, with this prelude, let me start. So this is just to give you all a understanding of why we need to measure social impact, because we need to understand what is the people's way of life. A person living in Poyas Garden will say, yes, I'm still poor. I wish I could live in Juhu in Bombay. I wish I could have the penthouse in Hiranandani's apartment facing the golf course there. So for him, his milestone is yet to be reached, right? So it's the people's way of life. So that we should also consider when we do a social impact, when we go to study on the field. Last week, I was in a village, a remote village in Maharashtra, drought-prone, Aurangabad, Beed, and all that, where people are said to be poor. But how much land do we have owned? 5 acres, 10 acres, rain-fed. And you see, just peep and see his godown. He has at least 500 kilos of onions stored. And there are corporates working for him to see that he has irrigation facilities during the non-monsoon months, that there are watershed programs happening for groundwater recharge. Is he a poor person? So people's way of life, probably he's poor in not having access to resources, not having education, not having technology, not having that city sort of a life, but he is still considered to be an underprivileged person who needs support via CSR. Okay. Next is the culture. When we say culture, we have a social hierarchy, right? The Aryas, Dravidians, I don't want to get into that, but we also have this sort of a caste, economic sort of classifications in our social system. And in that, cultures also take prominence. So when we look at tribals, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? They are again not developed, not educated. They are not civilized. Yeah, they are still grassroots. But today, there are tribals who are in civil services, who are working at par with us in banks and in social work organizations. So understanding culture is also important for us to know what the social impact an organization would create. Okay. Next, about the community, whether it is urban, rural, suburban, and the political systems. I was handling a posh case yesterday, and then there was a query asking, what is geography for a politician, for a person who's being harassed to file a complaint, which will come under the workplace premise? See, we have to understand the systems. We cannot just take everything as a social issue. Abuse is now a common phenomena. People are being not treated equal, but where is the geography? What is our jurisdiction, to be specific? Then the environment, we heard a lot about our carbon footprints, and we have SDGs talking about environment, and basically our health, next one, where we need to be cautious about. Now we hear about generic medicines, but how many of us are willing to go and buy generic medicines? My mother refuses. I spend as equal to my provisions buying medicines for my elderly, but they refuse to accept the fact that the same thing is available in just 20-30% of the cost in a generic medicine shop, because we have got accustomed to it. But how much can we spend at the cost? No? And also the health, how much of us spend conscious effort to see that we are physically fit and not going to be dependent at some point in time. So health and well-being is also one area the government is focusing upon. That's why we have got primary health centers, government hospitals, and also a lot of corporates investing in the health sector. Because that is going to be linked again with poverty. You don't have health, you can't work. If you can't work, you don't have money. If you don't have money, you can't buy food. If you don't have food, then you can't have a nutritious lifestyle. If you don't have nutritious lifestyle, you fall ill. Then again, going back to health. So that's also a very usual sort of chain that we look at as impact assessors to see where did this come. We call that the theory of change. from where did it start, the root of the problem, and how we can bring about change. And then the property rights, the land rights, now it's been made equal for both genders, but what about the Forest Act, where the people are living in the forest, they're just allowed to cultivate, they don't own land. Yeah, they can only carry headload of wood. They cannot get more produce from the forest because that is the act which has been passed recently, 30, 40 years ago. And of course, the vulnerable people, their fears. So when we talk about social issues, all these is minimalistic projection of what a social issue is. There are much, much more when we get into depth. So why do we need to measure it? Now we are talking about in the lens of a social impact assessor. The term social auditor has been taken away by SEBI. We don't have the term social auditor used anymore. It is social impact assessor. It is being proposed to change that so that that audit terminology doesn't affect the client whom we are going to do the assessment for. So a social impact assessor, when he goes, he needs to understand what the issue is. As I told you, the theory of change, where did it start from? How am I going to address the root of the problem? In simple terms, the chartered accountant, he needs a trial balance, the balance sheet to be tallying, right? Otherwise, you go and find out where the gap is. Yeah, I worked with a chartered accountant. I know how article clerks really slog to find that 0.50 paise not tallying in the balance sheet, and they work hours, and finally they find, oh, the Excel formula. Yeah, so the clear picture should be there, foolproof, to evidence that this is a social issue that we are facing, for which we are going to do the assessment and bring about recommendations to address that gap. So we need evidence-based reporting. It is not hypothetical, my judgment, my thought, or the way I come from, yeah, my perception. No, I need everything evidenced. There was a project, again, a similar one I went recently, where the farmers were given tree planting. Okay, 50,000 saplings the first year. The second year, about another 30,000. And they took in writing from the farmers that when the trees grow big, when they are 5 years old, the carbon credits are mine. It is on paper. The farmers are very happy. They sign. For what? The fruits are theirs. The fruit of the trees, they're all mango. Kesar mango varieties, which grows very good in the north. They can earn lakhs of money for in 1 acre, at least 1.5 lakh or something. Oh, the money is mine. You want only carbon credits, take it. You want me to sign an NOC? Okay, I'll sign. If they only knew about that they can sell that credit for a price, you think they will sign? Are they empowered? Are they informed of all these? And we talk about CSR, corporate social responsibility. So as social impact assessors, when we go to the field, the organization who's working with them, the CSR gives an implementing partner the money, the implementing partner goes and works with the villagers. Books are very clear. So, madam, we got the NOC, the farms, the plantation is done, 5% mortality, we have replanted, everything is there as per the book. The farmer, yes, I signed the NOC, I know I'm giving away the carbon credit, but do you know that you can make money out of the carbon credits in your farm for a price? So, evidence-based reporting, to what extent of empowerment is there on field? To what extent of knowledge you have of the subject when you go and do the assessment. You should know about what all privileges a farmer would have, just not the fruit, yeah, but also the carbon credit for you to empower. But are we impact assessors meant to empower the farmers? Is that our job? No. So when we write our reports in the recommendations, we have an opportunity to write to the organization, please, not only the NOC, but also inform that the carbon credits valued at X amount is being transferred to the company. So that value farmer will understand. He will not understand carbon credits and all that, right? So that is what I talk about, defining performance metrics. What is it I'm looking at? Okay, livelihood, I gave them tailoring machines, I gave them computer skills, I trained them in paramedics and all that. But what is it that I'm expecting after a period of time, after 2 years, after 3 years? There should be some benchmarks for me to know how much of my effort has really become tangible for that particular individual. Yeah, and then, of course, we know how social change has been done over the period of time, how it has been captured. And also we use tools, statistical tools to graphically represent the change brought in. So now corporates, not only corporates, everyone rather, will want to see in their dashboard nice infographics, the numbers going on. We started with 10 trees, now we have 20 lakh and counting. We have so many employees. All that is going on. That's becoming a fad now. Everyone wants more numbers, numbers, numbers. So as social impact assessors, for those chartered accountants, you're good at numbers, you can really come out with impact numbers. You can give a monetization of the impact done by an organization on field. For example, if the farmer is going to buy a mango crop, the mango sapling, it would cost him 100. For 1 acre, how much it will require? So the cost of all that for planting and for the first mulching and all costed per farmer X amount. So we can monetize it and we can show. So that into 50,000 farmers or 20,000 farmers, we have a number. So that can be very visually represented in your social impact report. That is what people will want to see than reading 20-page document. Okay. So the advantage is the organizations will learn from their mistakes. They'll find the gaps. They'll want to prove and improve the work that they do. And also, they will want to come forward and tell you what challenges they had. Why did they choose this Marathwada region of Maharashtra? Aren't there any Bihar is worse? Why did they choose this particular area? Yeah, what is the vision? Why did they choose watershed and not another program of livelihood? So they should be able to come and tell what was their vision, what was the difficulty they had, and what was the good practices they adopted. So all this is captured in our report. So this serves as a learning tool for any other organization who wants to engage in a similar program. In fact, CSR reports are transparent. They put it up in their website. So if any third-party auditor audits the work that they do, that goes up in the public domain. So that's where the transparency comes into practice. Okay. So we do know about the impact map. I hope all of you are familiar. This is how the basic social impact is done. Yeah. So first we have all activities. Like the example I told you, all the trees given, the farmers sensitized, farmers trained, the trenches or the bunds being constructed in the village, number of families provided livelihoods, number of laborers, all these are activities. And then I have the outputs, specific numbers, number of trees, number of trenches, number of laborers. Yeah, numbers will come. Then immediate outcomes. What happens because of the tree? What happens because of the check dam? There's water retention. The farmers are having scope for having income from the farm 4 or 5 years later. So my immediate outcomes, and then I write about my impact. Yes, they are now able to be resilient farmers, being able to tackle the drought in future years. So when I have this sort of a seasoned sort of a thought process put over there like a roadmap, then I know where I'm going to. It should not be like, I hope that they continue planting trees which wither, or I continue maintaining the plants by pouring water regularly, or they have a tree guard. I can't hypothesize. I should be able to come out with facts and see that all these have been done. Farmers are being trained to maintain. Farmers have formed user groups to maintain the common watershed structures. So all these, when they have, it comes under the outcomes, and then I can clearly say what impact that social project has brought out. So this is an example. I'll leave this PPT for you all to read later. So social accounting and audit framework done by Social Audit Network UK. It came out in the early 2000, and then it was officially brought into India in the year 2010. That point in time, not many organizations knew about this concept of social audit or social impact assessment reporting. It was mostly done pro bono for NGOs, for them to know where the gaps are. And also for the corporates at very nominal cost, so that they get into the practice of reporting what work they do. Otherwise, what A corporate does, B corporate will not know. Any challenges, any fraud happening in the organization of the implementing partner will not be publicized because their name will be shamed. So now the CSR Act, they have told projects above 1 crore, you must do a third-party social impact assessment study, and that should be submitted to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So in that way, the corporates are now gearing up to have professionals in that team, have listed social auditors, do the assessment studies for them, so that they have validated reports to be put up in their domain. So we got a lot of scope for auditors who have cleared the NSM exam and for aspiring ones also to do this particular social impact study, because we need more and more professionals in this particular sector. She was saying about 30,000 crores in the CSR kitty. That means 30,000 1 crore project, right? And how many auditors have already been listed in the social stock exchange as per the exam mandate? 600. See that. And I can count just 20 organizations who are doing social audit in India today. Okay. So we have a framework where we talk about the vision of the organization, the mission of the organization, the values we have, then the objectives and activities. This is a traditional framework which talks about the log frame and the VMVOA. And then also we write about consulting stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Anyone who was part of the entire program operations, from the board management to the beneficiaries. And then we have an implementing plan. We go to the field, get the data, consult them, conduct interviews, focus group discussions, do the analysis and submit a report. So after submitting a report, which is not the step 4 is still not there part of the social stock exchange process. We thought we'll reserve it after a couple of years because as part of the committee which was working on the forms along with Josna ma'am, she said, let's not bring the panel for now. But the traditional social audit network UK, they proposed to have a panel where a report written by one auditor is reviewed by a panel of experts, subject experts, someone from the organization, someone who is not part of the organization, so that there's a transparent sort of a review happening. And they also look at the evidence, the trail, the stakeholder consultation tools, any videos, any documentation that you've gathered. Okay. And then the statement is given that, yes, it has been socially audited. These are the findings. Like how you have in your balance sheet, you've got all your observations being noted down. Yeah. For the corrections in the next cycle. Similarly, for the social audit report also, we note down our observations and recommendations. So when we look at indicators, the timer, is it? Stop talking. Yeah, thank you. So when we look at indicators, what is an indicator that the organization is going as per the plan? We have timelines, right? So we have already got the impact thought about the vision, and then we start working on a program. So social impact indicators prescribed by the OECD, this is now getting popular. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. You can Google it as a free source, where they come out with indicators for each of the social issue that we talk about, whether it's health, education, vocational training, yeah, disability, women, the agriculture sector, any sector you talk about, they come out with a set of indicators for us to review and write the impact. Okay. So there are about 6 main sort of segments, but technology is also added in case there is a project which has got technology as part of their delivery mechanism. So the first one is relevance. So we have to see, is this project which is happening here relevant for the beneficiaries? Suppose I'm going to go to Tanjavur where there's, okay, we have enough rain and the last 2 years we're not having farmers complaining. Just think so. Then do we do a watershed over there? We have rivers there, right? So watershed should be done somewhere where the water is not captured in a proper way. So probably I have to do somewhere in Chengalpet or Maraimala Nagar where there's more soil erosion happening, more water being dumped into the sea because if we don't have catchment areas. So relevance of a project, are we doing the right things? Is this program required? If not me, who else is going to do? There are many players. So how relevant is my intervention in this particular geography or for this particular target? So that is the first criteria we look at when we talk about relevance. Okay, the next is about effectiveness. How effective we are. So it is the implementing mechanism we have, the team we have, yeah, how effectively we have planned our strategies, how we have taken this pain to understand the period of a program, the durations, the budgeting, everything. Are my objectives planned in an effective manner? Yeah. So this is very crucial. I may have a vision, I may have budget, but I just spend. And in third month, I say I've exhausted all the money. What am I going to do for the remaining period of 9 months? So I have to have a planned objective, how I'm going to deliver the program effectively. The next one is efficiency, where we look out for human as well as financial efficiency of the program. Am I having enough resources? Am I utilizing enough skilled people? Do I have the capabilities, first of all, to do this particular job? I suddenly call a educations and ask him to support me in a disability empowerment program on advocacy. So that relevance of it, as well as efficiency or the people involved in it, is very crucial. So when I say efficiency, how am I utilizing the resources? I have a budget for experts. Am I utilizing it? Have a budget for X amount of technical inputs. Have I utilized it? Or is it very high? The costing is too high or too low? If it's too low, I'm not getting the right person. If it's too high, then why I'm spending so much? So should we have an optimum amount of resources being utilized for your project? This one, coherence. All CSRs are asking us to report on the coherence. Why did you choose this implementing partner? How coherent is the implementing partner for this particular program you're working? Do they have the wherewithal? Do they have the prior experience? Are they also having the same thought process of your vision? Okay, so are you in line with the government policy? Jal Jeevan Mission is there, then are you in line with them? Yes. So I am coherent with the existing laws, the implementing organizations' capacities, as well as my philosophy. So coherence is a very crucial aspect when we do CSR projects, because they're not doing it directly, they're doing it with the third party. They're doing it with the implementing agency, which is an NGO again. Sustainability, we know about sustainability, ma'am also spoke about it. After we exit the program, that is, the donor exits or the implementing agency is not having any more funds, what is going to happen to the project? What's going to happen to the 70,000 trees or 80,000 trees in the village? They're going to allow the cattle to graze? Are there going to be enough pasture lands? Will the farmer know where to sell the produce? Is he going to sell the kesar for 10 rupees per kilo, or does he know to go to the nearby town and ask for the better price? Are there going to be farmer groups, producer groups, to fix the price and then sell it in a larger mandi? So sustainability. How are they going to sustain that input? The budget was about 3 crores for this project. Is that 3 crore worth it? After 5 years, if I go and I see all the mango trees not being properly maintained, fruits are all being eaten by the birds, and the cattle are just grazing everywhere, 3 crores has gone waste. And calculating the inflation rate of 9% approximate for 5 years, I would invested the money somewhere else. So that is sustainability. The last one is about the social impact. With all these factors, what is the impact I've brought out? Are the farmers empowered? Are the women leaders? Are the women engaged in farming now? What about the migration factor? Are people continuing to migrate because there are no opportunities, or they see the farm having more and more revenue coming up, so the children are also now engaged in farming? So that is the social impact we want to look at. So these indicators, when you are going to the field for a social impact study, should be at the back of your mind. So we usually, first day when we go to the field, we don't ask questions. We only observe. Some people go ready-made with the questionnaires, the guides and all your questions without visiting and just looking at the website data. We have to first do a pilot visit, understand the project reality, and then go again, meet the farmers, meet the organization which is working there, understand the situation, get into the meteorology department, understand the rainfall data, and then only you can come with a sort of a synthesized sort of a report. Nothing is desk work here. Yeah. So when we gather data, we should have the knack of asking questions. Some people don't like to be questioned. What do you mean I have 1 acre and I am not poor? How can you say that? Oh, I'm living in a 2-cent land in Chennai and I feel rich. Now you are not rich and you have 1 acre. So I think that you are rich by having 1 acre there. See our judgments. So what is our sort of a questioning? How are we going to ask him? So there are classifications by the government. Below 2.5 acres, marginal farmer. 2.5 to 5 acres, small farmer. 5 acres and above, you call them a medium farmer, and about 10 acres, large farmer. So we have the classification. So don't ask questions which the farmer or the beneficiary will get really antagonized and may not want to talk to you. So you have to build rapport, talk to them, ask him about what food he had, what his children are doing, how his house condition is during the monsoon, what does he do during drought, where does he go to fetch water, very casually. Some people have the habit of writing as they talk. It's wrong. Eye contact is very important. You can voice record with the permission of the beneficiary so that you can engage in a conversation. And there are a lot of software which will transcribe your voice notes ditto. Cockatoo is there. You just pay a minimum amount and it transcribes ditto, all languages. You have to just review and write it in your report. So you have to maintain that sort of an eye contact and the cordial sort of a rapport with the beneficiary for you to get more and more information. If you're going to make your notes and stick to your questionnaire, you can't write a report for more than 3-4 pages. You need more conversations. And in-depth interviews, when you're going to meet probably the district collector, some reports where we have to also bring in their perspective, they'll give you hardly 3-5 minutes of their time. And you need an in-depth interview. So what do? How do you get their opinion? Call for a Zoom call for a telecall. 3-5 minutes to just build that sort of a relationship that, yes, I'm doing the study. I want to get in touch with you. Can I get an appointment where I can talk to you over the phone? I need at least 15 minutes. Or a Zoom call is better? No, phone call after 8 o'clock. Fine. Flexibility is very, very important for a social impact assessor. It's not 9-to-5 job. Yeah. Observation counts a lot. I will say 80% of what we see should be in the report we write. Baki 20%, 10% is data analytics, 10% is what we hear. 80% is observation. So be very watchful. If you're going for a old age home sponsored by a corporate, yeah, the infrastructure is provided to them. And the corporate said, I want to invest more for this elderly home because they have got more people, they need more beds. So can you just do a quick study and tell me, does this home really require an additional floor where they can accommodate 50 more senior citizens? There are already 100 plus. So when I go there, what do you think I saw? There are 100 beds, old age home, the remote part of city, Porur. And I've been asked to do a quick assessment. The corporate is willing to invest for another floor for 50 beds. What are the things that you would observe? Anyone? Number of caretakers, very good. The kitchen, do they have enough provisions to feed the 100 first, or they're waiting for some donor to keep giving them? The cleanliness, the facilities for these old people who are bedridden, for them to accommodate more 100. Nearby hospitals, do you have visiting doctors, visiting counselors? Yeah, volunteers to come and spend time with them. First, you take care of these 100 before you expand. Do we need more and more old age homes today? Yes. Is it a good sign for a society? Retirement, I'm not talking of abandoned old age people in orphanages. Do we need such homes? Never. I'll be happy if that 100-bedded home becomes a 50-bedded home in 5 years. People should be mainstream with their family. We don't need more and more room for more old people to be abandoned and sent away over here, right? And with the existing 100, you give them the first care before you ask for more money to bring more people out of their homes. That's not a good sign. As a social perspective, that is not actually a good sign. And even corporates, they stopped investing or providing more infrastructure with this thought. But for the bigger old age homes, the smaller old age homes, and they are now winding up. Because the real needy, the abandoned, and the homeless and mentally unstable people, they can have homes. But there are single parent who was sent away to home because the son has got a job or a daughter has got a job abroad. They don't have space for the parent. That is not a good sign at all. So again, observation. So when I went to this old age home, the stench, I couldn't enter the room. It was so, what was it? The stench was unbearable. And these grannies and all were getting up to talk to me. They were but they got used to that stench. You cross Coombe, no? After some time, you become immune to the stench, right? Because we are just passing by. Some people, there was an IG or a DGP's office just across the Adyar Coombe. I couldn't enter, but after some 5-10 minutes, I couldn't feel the stench because we got used to it. But this old age home, when I entered, I could not. It was so pukish. I said, what is the standards you're maintaining here? So I went back to the corporate. I said, yes, they are very noble organization. They are doing wonderful work. They're giving food, shelter, clothing, roof for these 100 people who otherwise will be on the streets. But instead of constructing a one more floor with 100 rooms, provide them more funds to hire caretakers. Provide them more funds to build more toilets. Provide them with more funds so that they could have some sort of a leisure activity for these old people. The same amount you spend, but not to extend, but to see that this particular thing is improvised. This comes from observation because the books are very clear. The need is there, everything written, blah, blah, blah. But with that, we can't go. As social impact assessor, use your, the heart is here, no? The heart is here for us. We have to be observant and we have to see how non-judgmentally we can come out with a solution for any program. And validate it. How many homes are there already? Why we need another home? So quantitative data, qualitative data, the government homes, what they are doing, what is the role of the government? Why isn't there parent counseling happening, the family counseling happening? Yeah. So why are they again and again being sent away from the home? What is the core issue? Can we counsel the elder and then send them back to their own families? Yeah. So all these we should understand thoroughly. So ma'am again came out with the 16 social audit standards. So this is just a pictorial sort of a representation. Again, hunger, poverty being the first standard, eradicating, yeah. Then healthcare, third is education, gender equality, environment, national heritage, art and culture. This was not in the SDGs, not the MDGs. Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals did not have this, but it is there in the CSR Act. So it is now brought again in the social audit standards. Then promoting rural sports, nationally recognized sports. That was also in the CSR Act, which is again here. And supporting incubators of social enterprises, again CSR Act, which is brought in again. Then strengthening non-profit ecosystem, other platforms like you have your TBIs, yeah, and also your MSMEs being supported. And then livelihoods. Got it? Livelihoods is SDG 8, where you talk about economic upliftment of women. Here we're talking of livelihoods. And slum area was in the CSR. Again, it's one of the social order standards. Disaster, PM National Fund in the CSR. Now they're brought in again as disaster management. And financial inclusion, which was not there, is here. And access to land and property assets was not there. Digital divide, not there. Promoting welfare of migrants, not there. There was only peaceful and inclusive communities in the SDGs. So I've just brought in a sort of a map where I have tried to align the SDGs with the social audit standards. In this way, when we report in the social impact framework, we can talk about this alignment. The corporates also put up their SDG alignment in their dashboard or in their internet, that we are aligning to all these SDGs. Some corporates, they want all the 17 SDGs to be aligned with. Why not I'm only 15 we are aligning? Give me the remaining 2. Hey, you're not doing anything to peaceful, justful societies. How can I say you're aligning to that? Or they'll come out with some sort of innovative sort of program where infrastructure could be spoken about. That's not there. So everything cannot be done unless and otherwise you have multiple programs targeting all. Finally, when you talk about social impact as yeah. So when we write the report, keeping all this OECD indicators, social audit framework, consultation tools, observation, and all that, when we go, don't be critical. We are not a police to find fault. A project has happened after thorough due diligence and everything because they found a need for the program. Probably you're coming from a different thought process where you feel that it could have been done better in some other area, but have empathy first because there is a need for the project to happen there. And you listen. The art of listening is very, very crucial here. Sometimes it's just lectures. Oh, why you did put the dam here? You go there. I went with the translator this time, sir. The translator was asking too many questions that the NGO got really offended. She was asking basic questions like, why are you mulching here? I said, this is a watershed program. You need to conserve water. So you need to know when you have to ask questions, when you should not ask questions. If you don't know anything about the subject, don't ask. Do your homework. You don't put yourself up there being looked as someone who has come to assess us, but they don't have any knowledge of what we're doing. So you have to have your knowledge built up, your research done, your homework done. That's why I said first day of the visit, observe and analyze, and then you go back and then another day you do your assessment. You should be thorough of the subject before you do the assessment and communicate very effectively in a way that there's no conflict arising. Oh, they gave you 10,000 trees. They didn't give you money for carbon credits. Array. You go and tell that in the field, you can't go back home. The farmers will all come together. They'll catch hold of you. Your security is very important. And you will antagonize with the partner. The corporate will come and blame. What was your job? Your job was to just to go do the assessment, not to go and empower the farmer. That's not your job. Right? That's what we say, cultural sensitivity. Be sensible. Don't overreact or don't over-sympathize. The beginning years with the tsunami, when I was working, when I used to do media stories, when I go and meet a person who has lost the children in the tsunami, I couldn't control myself crying. And the lady used to pacify me. It's okay. It's 1 year. I've come out of it. See, that was all learnings. So we can't be too emotional, too excited, or angered by what is happening. We have to stay neutral. We are assessors. Suppose a company is making loss. Will you get angry checking the books of accounts? Why did the company not invest here in mutual fund? Why did you create a loss? Why did you give so many salaries? Should have cut down in the first year itself. We can't get angry. We are here only to do the books of accounts, right? Likewise, don't get emotional when you go for field visits. You just have to do your research. Look at the eye, record. No taking, nahi. Just record, audio record, come back and do the transcription. And then you should be able to tell a lot of stories, like how I said. Otherwise, I think by now, some people would have gone. It's been boring, right? You should be able to tell stories. Tell a farmer, oh, your child, what is he studying? 6th. Then you call the better, what is your interest? Oh, I want to be a pilot. Oh, that's so nice. You have seen a plane? Yes, I've seen a plane. Big it is. So you have to talk. The mother gets very happy because you're spending time with the child, right? You can't go by the clock. 1 hour in the field only I don't have time to talk to your child. No. You talk to the child for 10 minutes, the mother will give you 20 minutes. Psychology. They want attention. So you need to tell stories, talk to them, not comfort them and give money and feel sad. No, that's not our job. But you'll be able to relate to what we are looking at. And any crisis, there are caste and class conflicts in the village. Don't go for the field visit. Oh, I booked my flight ticket, I booked my accommodation, I have to be here for 2 days. And what now is saying that's a function happening in the village, Ter Trivala or something happening, and I can't do the study. Go back. Come again when they are available. Probably they forgot to inform you. They gave you 1 week window and you went on the wrong dates. So crisis management. Okay. So the advantages, this is one more up the feather in your cap. You could be a social impact assessor or auditor. Your knowledge of financials will help you a lot in doing your data analytics, understanding the monetization part of the program the CSR has invested, even understanding how the money has been spent, the budgeting and all that. It's an added feather in your cap. Because when I got into social auditing, I was not good in numbers. Though I did my MBA, numbers nale bio. When there's 10,000, I'll read as 1,000. Then I'll get, oh, it's 10,000, not 1,000. Oh, yeah, there are 4 zeros, right? Yeah. So we have to be up to speed. Yeah. Likewise, chartered accountants may say, oh, I'm a chartered accountant, I know everything. No. We have to be learners. Learn, read a lot. Read a lot of reports. It's there in the open web. You Google social impact report, CSR, it comes up. Read how they've written. You don't go by the names. Oh, this big brand has written a report, I'll maintain the standard. Take little of that and you make your own flow, make your own tone, create your own flavor of the report. Okay? And then when we write our social impact report, we also write stories of change. From where to here. Yeah? And then what happened as an impact. So all our outcomes are there. All these outcomes should have stories. What was the effect of my intervention? And then don't falsify. Do not exaggerate. Just tell true stories as they are. And when you take pictures, get permission from the person whom you're clicking. Do not click without that permission. You cannot publish that report if you're not taking a picture without their permission. That is also one particular rule. So this is the format where we start with introduction, background, scope, that is for the period of 1 year or 3 years, and then whether the geography is one state or more, and the methodology you've adopted, whether you're going by the OECD framework or the SAN framework, and then you report. And then the feedback is qualitative, then the planned and achieved numbers. What was the target? What has been achieved? SDG alignment or SAS alignment, and then your recommendations. We can add an observation section as well. If you feel that you need to bring out some serious observations you found out. So you can get trained with Social Audit Network. And then once you clear the Social Audit course in SAN, we also put you as a member in the SAN UK. So we're coming out with a training program on 2021 at YWCA Chennai. It's a 2-day masterclass in social impact assessment. So it will give you how to inputs on how to write the report itself, practical. So 2 days will be orientation of the entire thing in detail, group work. And then for 3 months, our social auditor will mentor you and make you write a social impact report. With that, you'll be qualified as a social impact practitioner by SAN. And once you have this and you clear your NISM exam, there's online MCQs, and register with ICAI, you can start practicing your profession of being a social impact assessor. Because just not the MCQs qualify you, we need to also information and also the wherewithal of writing the report. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with me and I'll be happy to see you there. Yeah. Thank you so much for patiently listening, and I hope it was useful. Any questions? I can take it up now.
Any question?
One thing all the speakers here and even the government's political and non-political observers have not quantified so far is the effect of a war on sustainability and the damage it can cause in terms of production of carbon dioxide and other harmful gases. They want war, they want weapons to be produced, which are themselves creating enough damage to the environment.
True.
Another thing, oxygen generation. I read that a lot of oxygen comes from the plants and the ocean, 90%.
Yeah.
It's only 10% that the trees above the earth create. How to manage that? Third, oceans are warming. I just want to know whether there is any system of measuring the temperature on the ocean surface. My doubt is ocean a big boiler emitting vapor, like what you see in a cup of coffee or a hot water bucket? Thank you.
Yeah. So to answer the first question, it's political, so I think I'll make that pass about the government not making it mandatory for accounting for the carbon dioxide being emitted. Like how we saw the top companies where we are requesting reporting on carbon emissions. We have got cement plants in that list, right? Cement plants, petroleum companies, yeah, then paper. All these are run by the government, right? So it is like, it's a bit dicey situation. That's why the SDGs, Niti Aayog is now coming out with indicators, sub-indicators to say that the government reports on how they're able to bring down that particular carbon emission in these areas. For the ocean, again, now dumping of garbage in the ocean is being now as a rule not being allowed, but for that Ennore incident 2 to 3 years ago. And life below water is one of the SDGs mandate to see that we protect the oceans. We give the fishermen holiday for 45 days, no fishing, so that the fishes can breed, so that they don't have the pollution coming in the system. Talking about how we are going to ensure sustainability. Every corporate or every organization or every government investing in a social program, the first thing they look in the proposal is sustainability plan. What is going to happen after we exit? Not only in terms of financials, but also with man resources as well. So sustainability, that it should be from the inception. How am I going to sustain my program even beyond this funding period? That is part of the proposal, the RFPs, when they are asking for implementing agencies to take over the CSR projects. So sustainability is not uniform in all sectors. It is not doable in every area. For example, when I talk of livelihoods for the tribal population, we're teaching them vocational counseling. We're teaching them home nursing. And what is sustainability in that? Okay, they get into a sort of a home care nurse job, and then they can take care of their livelihood after. So sustainability, I can see in that. But if I'm going to look at tribals who are selling beads, yeah, in the bus stations and all that, I'm giving them some monies, 10,000 per family, to buy more beads and more sell, and more sale. What is my sustainability? Maximum 2 years? Because they do not know how to save the money, how much profit they made. They want the urge to sell away at half the price. So they're not sustaining the income they got. This is what happened in most of the disaster program where they give livelihood support, petty shops. And then when you go, you'll see in one street, there are 3 petty shops. But given by 3 organizations. There are hardly 50 houses in that area. Then after 1 year you go, there are no stocks in that shop. Where is sustainability? So sustainability should be a conscious effort made by the organization or an individual who's investing in a social program to ensure that this goes on forever and ever, or at least for a period of 5 years. If it is not the mind of the consumer as well as by the giver, sustainability is a big question mark. That's why we have got standards. Sustainability standards are coming. Reporting on sustainability is coming. Even as CSR is talking of sustainability in our risky framework, we have one section on sustainability. How is the organization going to go on? So large hospitals, they invest more on infrastructure. And say sustainability, we will sustain operations for cataract or heart because of our infrastructure is there. It is 20, 25 years, the equipment will go on. So it should be not uniform across all segments, but it varies from each vertical. And it depends how much investment also we have made to ensure that program remains sustainable. Am I clear, sir?
About war?
About?
Wars.
Wars. About the Ukraine war, about the Kashmir war. All we can do is, we can give fund for the PM or disaster relief as per the social audit standards and ensure that we give them healthcare, we give them families some sort of a relief compensation.
They're not subject to any audit like a corporate or an industrial organization.
They're not. The army is beyond all that. In fact, I did a project for one of the top corporates which ran a bakery in the Uri camp, 2017. That time I didn't see the movie Uri and I knew the seriousness of the common camp and Baramulla camp and all that. We just went. It was fun. Myself and my colleague, we went. A bakery in the army camp at Baramulla. And then we go and the students, 50 of them, full packed hall. And oh, madam, when you start the course, 2 weeks. Okay, what are you learning? We are still in the orientation. Oh, you didn't start Hands-on as yet, no. Okay, can I see the lab? And the teachers hesitate. We'll go, madam, we'll go. No, I want to see the lab. And we see the attendance register, foolproof. Same ink, same handwriting for 2 weeks. Auditors know, nah, I was working for an auditor, I know. How can it be the same pen, same ink, same, no, fresh book? Then went to the lab. There is no oven. See the audacity in the Baramulla camp. Running a bakery, they have given out of gratis for that the people who have been affected by landslides, the families can come and learn a trade. Without an oven, they're teaching them baking. So what will be a social impact assessment? 50 students are there, attendance register is there, records are very good. The families are early affected by the disaster. The army has given the venue. Venue is very good. That's not an annual report or a brochure we are writing here. It is a social impact report. We have to tell what we see, even if it is an army. When we have the opportunity, you have to bring it out. We shouldn't get scared. But we didn't audit the army. We did the CSR project in the army camp, training women in baking. So we no offense for the army. The army major said, you saw the books, madam? Yes. How did you find? I said, sir, everything is fresh. I'm good you pointed out. I also know about it. He's a major. He knows about it. So it is risky for a social impact assessor. Everything will not be in AC rooms auditing, or we have to walk kilometers. When I go to Uttarakhand, I have to walk 3 kilometers up the hill. It will be very slippery. Because considering my age, I'll have 2 people hold me and take up the hill. We have to do that. Otherwise, there is a pond up there, madam. Oh, really? How will I know? I have to see. I can't blame my age or my health and say I can't see. COVID time, we have to do an assessment. I can't say I'm paranoid, I can't go to children's hospital. You have to wear a PP kit. Go to the children's ward and meet with parents and children and do this. So it is risky, but at the same time, it will be giving you so much of satisfaction that you're doing noble work. Because you're reporting to someone who's not seen the project at all. Yes. Anyone else? Yes.
What is whether they engage fully, they got opportunities for all 600?
I think with their contacts for any trust that they're doing, probably they will get, but they will not get continuously, You should be able to market yourself. You should be thorough of what, suppose I'm going to, one person approaches and asks you to do a health sector social impact assessment. So, and we don't have the experience. Yeah, because we are new to this sector. So what should we do? We can join someone as a trainee, putting down a chartered accountant hat, saying, let me come with you for the health audit and let me learn how you're doing. That we will help you. SAN India will help you in that. We can take you along when we go for audits, whether health or agriculture or education. Then you can see how we interact, how we document, how we write. We'll also make you write some sections, and then 2-3 reports you write and you can start independently. But first try and pass then you should be having that background of social understanding. If you think, yes, I can learn, I can read and do it on my own, go ahead. But practical experience, if you need, be more than welcome.
Second one, regarding the listing. So how many companies listed, and what is the amount collected through?
I think it's less than, she was saying 100 have been, she gave some numbers, right? Ma'am, I've written in my book. 10 have, Unnati was the first organization who got funding from Social Stock Exchange, that is 1 crore.
The Bangalore.
Yeah, Bangalore. Beyond that, I think 10 more would have got. And there are 100 which are already listed. So they are waiting for crowdfunding to come, ZC, ZP, to be given to them. They would have given a proposal asking X amount, and probably yet they are going to receive the funding for their projects.
Okay. And the third one, this certificate is valid for only 5 years only, they're mentioning. Again, you have to rewrite that exam.
Exam. Simple exam. I also took 1 week off to study and write the exam. But now the syllabus is revised. When I wrote, 50% was about stock exchange, and I'm not a commerce student. Day and night, I was mugging up. What does mutual fund do? After that, finally I could clear. But now it is 80% on social, 20% on.
And minus mark also.
Yeah. You can clearly pass it on. That's not big difficult.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Sridhar Raja. I have two questions. One is why a individual only allowed, not allowed to do social impact assessment? Why only the firm has to do?
Not necessary.
Somewhere I read.
It is there. If you are an individual, you can still sign a social impact assessment report for an NGO submitting their project proposal.
Okay.
If you are an entity, the advantage is after the stock funds go there to the organization, then as an entity, you can submit your social audit, your membership number, but as a seal of an organization that you're registered with the thing. You can always go to any entity which is already registered and tell them to do it for you. Allow you to sign it under them, or you start your own entity. Registering a company is not a big affair today. It takes a week.
It has to be, team of
Team of 2-3 social auditors.
It's a cross.
You can start a LLP, no? You can start a LLP and you can do it. Yes.
And one more question I have. You gave an example of no impact assessment being done for a old age home. So in terms of assessing the impact assessment, the criteria, whether you adopt this kind of overall well-being, or they have feeling that they are taken care of well and we feel good. Feel good factor is importance, or how do you measure otherwise quantitative factors like the private whatever disease condition they have, whether there was an improvement, and even whether those conditions
I
are
got your
taken
point.
into. And
Here,
how
yeah,
do we in
I'll
totality
tell you.
how do you give
Yeah.
your
The project you're talking about to measure the health indicators. When they came in, they would have come with uncontrolled sugar levels, high BP, yeah, depression, yeah, something like that. But after coming here under medication, they're able to manage the sugar, BP, and even giving activity, they've been able to make sober. So where will you get this information? They will have the medical records of these old people in the home. That is mandated. Each patient, each inmate of the old age home should have a file with all the food allergies they have, medical allergies they have. The first thing they do is a full health checkup to find what the problem with the person is. And then we have doctors coming and treating them. So with that, we'll be able to understand what the health, how it has been taken care of. Okay. If you're doing only an orphanage home assessment, I don't get into the health part of it. I told you the project I went was to see whether there's a need for infrastructure enhancement for that orphanage. So my like a horse, no, with the saddle, I look only whether there's a need for more space for this home. I will not look at the health. So instead of more space, I'll say give them better facilities. If it was health for the old people, then I'll look at all this. Then I'll say we need a full-time clinic, we need more doctors, we need a medical pharmacy nearby. Yeah, we need to give a sort of a government PHC contact and get a government ambulance contact, health. So we need to thoroughly investigate each project that we are doing the assessment for.
palliative care? It is extremely important, no? Health part.
Certainly. Palliative, it is a norm. They should have an ambulance, they should have medical, everything. But old age home, palliative is for terminally ill. This old age is anything above 60 senior citizens, it is called an old age home.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a very basic query. Forgive me for that. And also probably point to another point from my side to add to what you said. Let me start with that. I think the social impact, what I have, the impact on this session on me is, I think the underlying word is passion. If I'm right, I think without that, we are all in the hall. I think we all are more comfortable with numbers and reading materials and things like that. But I think here the underlying requirement or criterion is, I think, passion. Without which, I think, from examples, what you said, you go to village, talk to them, have an eye contact, listen to people more than talking to them, storytelling. I think all that comes with passion. And I think just to add to your point, if we go with the bent of mind, like, I'm just an auditor, or, I'm more concerned with the numbers or what my report is going to have final impact, I think that probably not work. I start with passion, then.
You're
So,
correct.
have I understood this correct?
Yes, perfect.
Thanks. The second one, query is, you listed that 16 kind of objectives, are they really mutually exclusive? When I saw some, that can be definitely a bit.
Yeah, they're inclusive. I can go back and show you.
Just wanted to understand because.
So SDG 1, no poverty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2, zero hunger. And 10 is reduced inequality. That means everyone has equal access to food. So like that, suppose I'm going for a poverty eradication program. I'm going for child nutrition program or malnutrition program. I already know that this is the program I'm looking at. So I can research on this SDGs. Find out what all questions, indicators are there that I should look at. Probably the height of the child for a particular age is already there. No?
Yeah.
So the Balwadis will also have a book for each child, noting the height of the child increment every month, or the food intake, all that is noted. So we have to know for each of the projects that we are going to research, what are the focus areas with which we are going to verify whether the program has happened as per the plan.
Yeah. So what I want to know is, are they really exclusive, mutually exclusive? But what my limited understanding quickly is that some of them can have overlap, which of course is inevitable. I understand, but it need not be really exclusive. You go for one, as he said, you go for something, but we observe a few other things also. And you may not probably want to just limit to one particular area. So these need not be really exhaustive, or we can have exclusive.
We can have more than, see, for SAS1, you have got 3 SDGs. My project can talk of more than one SAS. You can report on all of that.
Yeah.
Not like you have to report only on one of the standards. It can be a combination of more than that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you asking questions and look forward more any questions you may have. You may reach out to me, maribanu@gmail.com, if you have any queries. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful engaging section. And as we come to today's end of today's program, I'd like to thank the members also for attending and making this event successful. So let's meet together for future programs. Thank you.